And like that, we're back. What is this? Maybe episode 9. It is Unpacked. Presented by the To Be Fair Show and
the G Shit Podcast.
So I'm Q. I'll be hosting the panel today. I'm allow our panelists to introduce themselves, allow you to know where they'll find you, where you can find them at. Today, we will be talking on the subject of, has hip hop stunted Black culture? And we'll kind of go through a couple different alleyways when it comes down to that topic. Obviously, we all know what the current thing and theme of pretty much the past month has been. So we'll kind of look at it from a couple different angles outside of just only dissecting the music. So yeah, to my right, I got G. Talk to him.
Appreciate y'all joining. It's G, host of the G Shit Podcast. You can follow me anywhere, all platforms at GSHPOD. Hi.
Johnny. I think Johnny froze. Either that or he's putting on his like model face.
Yeah, he cold-blooded if he not froze.
Yeah. Trey.
Yeah, what's good? What's good? FBA Trey. I'm just new to this podcast thing. Trying to do my best to, be a good advocate. Speak with some, good intelligent brothers. Appreciate the opportunity. What's up?
Yes, sir. Alex.
Yo. Alex from the carpool lane, picking up my kids. You can check me out on here.
I dig it. And you were saying Stunted for Vegas is a J. Cole comparison? I was trying to make sure I understood that right.
Oh, man, you going to throw me on the bus out of con. You suck.
All right, nah. We got A Black. Talk to him.
Yo, what's up, A Black, man? Happy to be here. Follow me at Mayor of Charlotte. And let's get it. Hip hop, baby.
Yep. So, I kind of like to throw into like some softball questions early on. And I don't know, this has been like an observation that I've had over like the past 3 or 4 days. And I'll lead into it with this question first. Do you think that celebrity worship has gone too far? I'll start with that one. Whoever wants to answer, we can kind of go round robin.
It used to be worse, didn't it? Because now at least we can see the truth about a lot of people. Because they used to, like, you see a celebrity, now we have access to information, so we can, paint a better picture. And that's why you see, I don't know if we've ever seen this many celebrities get canceled and called out for stuff that that we would never have known about in any other time. But I do think, just bringing it back to the FBA perspective, I think we do put way too much time into entertainment and following celebrities and paying attention to them. And it is kind of an easy way for us to be influenced and led astray by the outside.
Yeah,
outside forces.
Oh yeah, I totally agree with Trey, because I think it's just indicative of like our society where like you hear it all the time about like the teachers and like how much they get paid, and just outside of just Black culture, I think that's a problem with just American culture where they use these idols, these celebrities, these sports figures, movie stars to distract us from a lot of the stuff that's really going on. And I think Black culture is definitely very susceptible to that because, anything that happens to American culture is going to happen worse than the Black culture. So that's a problem, not just with us, but Americans in general, probably.
Okay.
Anybody else? Yeah, celebrity worship. I think if anything, it's kind of been on the decline. Like ever since the pandemic. They got Ellen DeGeneres off the paint, for being a little bit too out of touch. And like kind of honestly, like I think more so than ever, even when like certain celebrities within the community, like I think it was like Taraji Henson, like she was complaining about like how she doesn't get paid enough and how it's pretty much like an uphill struggle, being in Hollywood. So like from both ends, like I think you know, the economy is struggling, so people are not really all that jazzed about seeing, you know, people out of touch complaining in their mansions about stuff. And then also like the illusion is kind of gone too, because like, you know, you'll get someone like Terrence Howard saying like he only made like a few grand off of, you know, hustle and flow. And to this day, he still doesn't get any royalties. So if anything, I see a lot more young folks kind of like seeing like this isn't really nothing, you know, like you know, not for nothing, like someone like Kai Cenat or any of these random streamers, like I think they have more clout than, you know, an actual legit streaming artist. Like like, you know, like I think people care more about what academics or Kai Cenat or any, you know, YouTube or like streaming personality has to say more than like an actual famous person. But yeah.
Gotcha. And I guess like I'm putting all of those a little bit inside the same bucket where I've had like multiple conversations over the past like 3 days. It's funny you said hustle and flow because this was actually another example that was brought up where the justification for like, I guess I'm trying to think of like like negative actions of an artist are justified by the means of the fact that they like the artist. I got into one conversation where it was about sex trafficking and the response to why sex trafficking isn't that bad was, well, Jay-Z made songs called Big Pimpin'. Terrence Howard was in Hustle and Flow, and we all sat there and watched it. So pimping can't be that bad. And I was like, like that's such an interesting justification for it. But then, as we've heard of, like, we've heard every single Kendrick song, I'm sure, and like the angle that he's taking with the whole, you know, PDF files, and maybe we might not say that, like when you look at the everything that happened with Drake in the past, when it comes down to like these younger girls, maybe there's not literal proof of him having intercourse, but some fairly weird behavior, probably, right? And seeing people go about to reach to be like, well, the law says 16, or you know, and it kind of like started like really wrecking my brain to where I'll ask y'all this follow-up question: could you actually, I don't want to say demonize, but I'll start with this: could you cancel your favorite artist if they do something egregious enough?
Hell yeah.
I mean,
It depends.
I think Kanye said it best, man. You can't cancel what you didn't make. So it's like you can stop listening to somebody, you can stop supporting them, but there's always going to be a niche side and other side of people who say, it's not that bad, or I don't think that's wrong, and they might intensify their support, you know, for this person. You know, we see it in our politics, we see it everywhere. One side hates this person, and another side they start relating to a person even more, you know, because of that hate. I think that a lot of that's why Taylor Swift is so big, you know, was because of that Kanye moment and that sympathy that she gained. It's like, and the hate for Kanye made this more love for her, you know. So I don't think you can really cancel nobody unless it's like proven.
And by cancel, I'm meaning like individually stop like messing with them if they go against a moral or principle of yours.
Like, all right, I guess R. Kelly is the best example. If I'm honest, when his music come on, I don't cringe. What he did and has been proven that he's done is cringe worthy. But I'm not like fucking rushing to the Alexa, to the DJ, like turn that off and like, and I work in social environments, social events. I shoot weddings a lot. Man, they play R. Kelly all the time. Like, and nobody flinches. So for me, it's like a lot of the political correctness is online, but when you're in the moment, a lot of times you're not thinking about the artist's transgressions. When I just heard Diddy on the radio again the other day, I wasn't thinking about his allegations. You know, it's only kind of when you're put into that space to dissect the artist, and you're like, you know, that's fucked up what they did. But when you separate the art from the artist, I honestly, and I only can speak for me, I don't be feeling like I need to turn this off, because of what they did to this person. Like I don't, it's not even crossing my mind. When I hear "Seems Like You're Ready" by R. Kelly, like I'm singing that shit. That don't mean that I fucking support
Right.
pedophilia and rape and
Yeah.
shit. Just like it's the art, it's already ingrained in me. So it's hard to kind of deprogram some shit that you've been liking already.
I mean, if somebody's in, like, when we're talking about cancel, like if somebody's in jail paying, their debt to society for said crime, they don't own the masters to any of the music. What good is like me not listening to, like, I Believe I Can Fly if R. Kelly's already in jail? He's already paying his debt. It's not like I'm supporting any new songs of R. Kelly or helping his career moving forward, but like it's almost like I have to, take something out of like my memories and stuff that I like because he did something wrong. And it does not like it hurts anybody if I listen to the song when he's already paying his debt to society.
Right, John. Nobody's wearing free R. Kelly T-shirts or anything like that just because we play the music. So when you say like, or do we give them a pass and an accountability? Like, how accountability do we need to be? It seems like that's not really a fair question to accuse us of like condone. Nobody's condoning any of this stuff, just because we're bobbing our heads. And if we want to talk about the selective accountability, I think black people, it seems like we're the ones that are forced to be the most accountable for anything because they still got statues of people that committed genocide up there, but then I can't listen to R. Kelly. So,
I think I think
But
the underlying thing that I'm hearing from the group is that like the old saying, like there is no ethical consumption under capitalism. So I think people might want to like have their ideals and have their morals and virtue signal, but at the end of the day, like I think at one point in time I'm like, man, Doja Cat said what? I ain't listening to Doja Cat no more. And then after a while, like, oh shit, I like what she just did. And then same thing with Kanye, like what Kanye said, what? Nah, I'm not listening to Kanye no more. But then I'll be lying if I say I'm not listening to Carnival. I think in the moment we want to be like, nah, they wrong for this good time shit. But then like you not watching it, what is that going to do? What is that going to stop? I think and sometimes like it kind of gets people to course correct and like, damn, we got out the paint. But I think that cancel culture is far too capricious to say that anything is leading to anything. I think at one point in time there was like a black singer, she sang for like Donald Trump, never saw the light of day
Chrisette
again.
Michelle.
Yeah, like never saw the light of day again. But is it safe to say maybe she was already on the decline anyway? And then vice versa. Like, there's some people that like do some really like off the wall stuff, but you'll be lying if you don't listen or watch them anymore. So yeah, I think we all gotta be honest with ourselves. There is no ethical consumption under capitalism. Like the minute you start trying to attribute your virtues to like what you put your purchase power behind, you're kind of boxing yourself into somewhat of a conundrum.
you a fan of Doja Cat?
I was. I mean, I like her music. I don't really like her as like I'm not about to like prescribe to like the Doja Cat religion, but
She
yeah,
can
like
flow
that,
a
like
little bit. She got a little bit of when she
she
wants
got
to.
like what was that one
She
song
nice.
that
She
like
talented.
the streets, like that was a good jam. The one she made with SZA, I like that.
So even though she was twerking for white supremacists,
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like that's exactly the situation I'm talking about. But then it's like, once you like time went by, it's like, all right, like, do people ever grow? Yes. Can you be mad at people forever? Not really. I mean, like just to kind of like put a point to it, like when she came to like town, like I think like a few months ago, like we bought tickets. We never ended up going because we literally forgot that we bought the tickets. But yeah, like I'm just speaking like I'll be a hypocrite if I'm saying like we can cancel anybody. Like I think we all are guilty of picking and choosing, like nah man, I'm gonna cancel this. There's like Papa John's is a good example. Like what? They said what about black people? Oh hell no. Nah. But then I'll be lying if I said I never got a Papa John's pizza since then. You know,
Chick-fil-A.
like Angel Soft, with like with the whole Trayvon Martin, Eric, what's his name? Zimmerman, whatever his name is.
The hell they do?
Oh man, I ain't gonna never wipe my ass with Angel Soft. They sent money to Zimmerman. I'll be lying if I don't say that I have Angel Soft tissue paper in my house right now. So,
That's interesting. Okay, so it sounds like in general the consensus across the panel is that no matter what an artist does, or like if they go against a principle or moral that you have, their music is their music, and them as the person is the person.
I disagree on that. You just made me think about when you said Doja Cat. I don't listen to people that are like anti-black or sympathize for white supremacists, including Doja Cat. Now, what's the other person? Uh, like your sassy reds, or people that want to go to schools with their cleavage out smelling like blunts and then
Hey
twerking
Trey,
in front of like country boys.
can I
Yeah,
ask you something, Trey? Like Sexy Red and Doja Cat, that's modern day music, and like you not supporting them going forward. Like, but what about music that you've already like got like attachment to and memories and nostalgia to? Like, do you then cancel something like that you
I don't
already
got no,
like?
I don't have no sellouts on my playlist.
So let me ask Trey a question too. So Trey, so for example, right? Who is your GOAT?
Jeezy.
All right.
Jeezy or like Kanye?
Ye, Mr. Ye West.
All right. So and when Kanye, so do you approve of him putting the red hat on and promoting when he was promoting? Do you approve of that?
Talking to the city, the leader of our country.
Not just talking to the leader, but wearing his merchandise, marketing him, supporting him openly, and so forth. Is that something that you feel aligns with you as well?
I mean, I was embarrassed for the man when he was crying in Trump with the hat on and everything, but I don't think he said anything that was like white, like he wasn't like busting it open for white supremacists or nothing crazy like that. And he's
What
also
about when?
he's balanced it out by some very pro-black. He said where he's kind of put it all on the line on standing on business.
What
I'm not a
about when
fan
he
of
put the?
Candace
What
Owens,
what
but
about when he put
what's
Confederate
the
flag
difference
on the
between
jacket?
Candace Owens and Kanye as far as rhetoric goes? Like, you have a
Kanye
really strong
West,
opinion.
Kanye West has stood up for black people multiple times, even at George on major stages. Even with the George Bush don't care about black people. When he talked about called out how hip hop is engineered to attack black people. Also, how he dropped the deal when he don't want to. When he said slavery was a choice, and he dropped a deal worth $500 million, or just to stand behind it. Like when you balance that out, then I think it's a net positive.
And I add, like, I think it comes down to what triggers you. You know, like if I'm a transsexual, yeah, I might want to cancel Dave Chappelle. Like if I've been molested, I've been raped, I might get really mad when R. Kelly music comes on. It's like what affects you affects your capacity to want somebody canceled. Like so with Kanye, we're talking about him, somebody mentioned Confederate flag. Like that don't really. I'm not gonna be like, oh, Kanye. People like, oh, Kanye hurt me so bad. Like that shit
Yeah,
don't
it's
hurt.
not one of your principles that you care enough about.
Yeah, so it's like I'm not canceling somebody for their own opinion because then if you go that route, you got to cancel your mama, your daddy, your brother, your sister, your people that's around you because you don't agree with everybody in your life. And so as soon as somebody does something you don't agree with, you're going to cancel them. And I feel like we only kind of do that with celebrities because we're kind of entitled to them and feel like they should move how we want them to move, or they don't deserve fame and they don't deserve fortune or whatever. But at the end of the day, people want to cancel shit that affects them. If it don't affect you, then you don't really care. Like I'm more leaning towards I'm more mad at Drake for the slaves line, than all this girl talk because I know that's real subjective. But oh y'all, you rapping like you want to free the slaves, and he's had a couple of questionable lines like that to me that make me look at him a little left more than anything. But at the same time, I'm not really triggered, enough to where I feel like I can never listen to this dude again. I'm just like, all right, he don't really know black culture enough. He's a little tone deaf in some areas, and yeah.
Gotcha. Nah, interesting. I don't know. Like I said, I got to like an interesting space with the conversation. Just seeing the temperature of social media over the past I don't know how many days that is, 3-4 days. But like I said, I did find it fairly interesting, the justifications that people would go to in lieu of their favorite celebrity. Not even whether you're going to consume or not consume. I know that I'm probably one of the more, like, we've had 1,000 conversations on like the To Be Fair show. I'm probably one of the more like stringent when it comes down to if somebody crosses my morals and principles, that I just don't really consume it. I don't care if like you play it around me, but I personally don't intentionally consume things if I think that it's literally went against something that I believe in to a big enough point. But I also don't. I don't care enough for it to be like a movement or anything. It's just like, that's too far for me.
You
But
literally heard, oh my bad.
you said what?
I said you literally heard people saying that pimping was okay because of
Oh,
Jay-Z.
it might have been somebody on this panel. I don't know. I don't know.
Pimping and sex
Come on,
trafficking.
come on,
Somebody
come
speak
on,
up.
bro.
Okay,
Nah,
all right.
Speak up. Who
nah,
said
nah.
that?
Hey,
I'm
it's a
gonna allow Johnny to give his
it's a
full unpacked.
mischaracterization of
I'm
it's a
gonna allow him to
mischar-
give his full unpacked explanation of the statement,
it's a
Johnny. It's on you.
mischaracterization of my point. What I was saying is like we're being hypocrites to act like we're all of a sudden mad at that when it's been something that has been celebrated in our culture. And I gave said example of hustle and flow, big pimping. You got 50 Cent's PIMP, where literal sex trafficking was in the lyrics and nobody had anything to say. And that was my only point. And I guess that's why we're even having this topic. But I thought it's a little hypocritical. And like I said, I'm not against it, but it's also been in our culture for a long time, and nobody's had a question about it then when Jay-Z said it. And that's just a question I've had about our culture and some of the things in
But
our
we
music that's been
also use the word pimping as more of like not even in the literal sense. Like if we got like 2-3 girlfriends, you're like, oh, you pimping, bro. Like it's also like a cultural term, not also a
Right.
literal thing of like
I mean,
It was a colloquialism
I'm
for
about to
being
throw
played.
50 Cent PIMP, he said, hit this track, catch a date, come back and pay the kid. Like
Did
that's
you
not
want to do that though? You said you glorified that. We weren't trying to put nobody on the stroll.
I mean that's in that that's just in the
Yeah.
music. I'm just saying it's been part of the music. Hustle and Flow, they got, and I'm not saying we glorify, but it's been glorified in our culture. It's to act like it hasn't. To me, I don't.
I
see
wouldn't
that.
say that something simply being in a song means that it's being glorified. I think it's like it's there. It happens. Like it's a part of something. You know, kind of like you wouldn't say if the news is reporting a murder that like, oh damn, the news is glorifying murder. Like that happened. Like it's kind of unrealistic to think that we're going to ignore certain aspects of like culture or certain aspects of the human experience altogether.
So are we saying hip hop does not glorify womenizing,
I
or
think that's different than forced prostitution, though.
so
I do think that is different.
Oh yeah, so yeah, can we clarify what we're saying? That it doesn't. Are we saying they don't glorify actual sex trafficking, or are we saying that they don't glorify
literal sex trafficking, like
Well, I'm saying,
actual, like
I
if you
don't
was
think
convicted as a
nobody
sex trafficker.
agrees with that, but I'm just saying that has been in the lyrics, and there's been a lot of lyrics, a lot of references in our culture about pimping and that industry, and
And as
nobody has
Black people,
called
we
it
would
out.
be hypocritical if we denounce sex trafficking as like as a mass or as a group or as a person.
Well,
That's
I'm
what
saying,
you're saying.
No, okay, I hear what you're saying, but like I
I'm
don't.
saying we should call it out, but we should have
No,
been
okay,
calling it
like
out,
I
and
get
that's my
what your
only
point
point.
is, Johnny,
We
but
should have
like
been calling it out.
that's like saying people who 24/7 play Call of Duty kill shit all day. Like it's entertainment. Like what? Like you can't be outraged at like violence in your community because you have a really high kill death ratio on Call of Duty. Like that doesn't make any sense. Like if you play Grand Theft Auto till the cows come home, like do you not get to talk about like someone stealing your car? Like it's like partaking in a form of entertainment doesn't mean you're like condoning it. Like it's like, oh shit, like I can vicariously be a criminal on Grand Theft Auto. Like I can sell some drugs. That doesn't mean that I want to do that in real life or condone that in real life.
And
We
like
were
I
all
say,
listening to that while we were worried about our grades. So I mean, like, were we really like trying to? They also had PIMP. They also had NERD with Pharrell. In them. And Pharrell was pretty popular.
Yeah, and like I say, I could see, I might have, taken a little, I could see, but to act like we have not had very harmful, references and stuff in our culture in the past that we have let go, it would be hypocritical. And that was my only point. I might have took it too far. I might have been a little off, but our culture has not been a very positive thing for Black people as a whole, especially when it comes to
But
hip
how
hop.
do you like? Okay, like I would need to understand what you mean by condone, and I would need to understand what is the negative action like when like PIP came out, like what we were supposed to do to kind of show that we don't support this.
I don't know. I didn't know what it was. I didn't know it was a bad thing until I got older. That's my only point. I didn't know.
So you're saying that you didn't know that like literal pimping, not like having a bunch of girlfriends, was a negative thing. Like when you see a prostitute on like walking down, I ain't even gonna say a street name in Charlotte, but I was just about to say it, but but like you didn't think that was a negative thing.
If I've seen it, I've never really, like you say, maybe it's my middle class mindset where I'm a little elitist and I didn't see it, but I've never really saw, especially when you explained it to me the other day, like the really negative aspects of it. I didn't see that growing up. That wasn't in my community. So what I see in the movies, if you don't get a real accurate representation of it, you can see how it's getting excused or how people might not think it's the worst thing. And
I mean,
that's
to
my
be
only
fair,
point.
I didn't know human trafficking and pimping was the same thing until like I was in like my early 20s. I didn't like. I thought like human trafficking, like you mean like like stuffing people in a boat and then getting them across the border illegally. Like that's what I thought human trafficking was. I didn't know human trafficking also meant like what we would colloquially refer to as pimping.
Yeah, real quick. Imagine if he was talking about the graphic details of the actual pimp life, like all the gory. I don't think we would have been glorifying it if he didn't say it in the way that he did. So I mean, that's just you know, to Alice's point.
Yeah. A Black.
It's a difference between like sex work and sex trafficking. Like I feel like they're under the same umbrellas, but different ends of the spectrum. If we talking about literal pimping, those women, whether it's immoral or not, still someone have a choice. Versus, sex trafficking is real dark, real underground world, real women in the back of trailers, 18-wheelers, being literally trafficked. Mean you're taking them from their countries, their homes, their parents. Some don't speak the language. They're being sold like property to rich men and things like that. I don't think our hip hop has touched on that level. I feel like they glamorize or might have glorified the actual pimp over the pimping. This ability to wrangle women to make them go have sex with other men and bring you the money. This was their profession. It was something just like of a drug dealer or something. And then a lot of people look down on that. Like I talked to a lot of older men in my family, and they look down on the pimp. So it's a little different to me. I think it's sex work, it's prostitution, it's selling yourself, but actual selling human bodies, sex trafficking, where people have really no choice of their outcome in their life. That's a little different. It's a little further extreme. I don't think we condone that in our music.
Right.
Man, I gotta jump in there, man, because I want to just offer, say, a different perspective, and I'd be curious to hear from others because, all right, so if I give some examples, like a Too Short, UGK, Bun B and Pimp C, even more like if we listen to International Players Anthem, right? Like this idea that we don't normally like rap, like that pimps don't have like a archetype in hip hop, I think is a little bit far. There is definitely a pimp archetype that exist in hip hop, and then some of these niggas are considered icons and legends for what they've contributed. Would y'all disagree with that?
I wouldn't. I guess if I would give you like a better context to like where this conversation came from. It was what is it the Kendrick Not Like Us. There we go. The Not Like Us record. When he says something about whatever has a weird case. So we just so happen to look it up, and it says he was convicted of forced sex trafficking or forcing a woman into prostitution, XYZ. That. And that was kind of like the start of like the whole thing. So it was based off of the idea of forced prostitution. But yeah. So I guess that kind of means just to give you a little bit of a backdrop to the conversation. But I also would say, has there been a prevalent pimping rapper in the past 10 to 15 years?
Ooh, we switched. Now we glorify hoes instead of like they used to ridicule hoes. Now they put them on the pedestal. Which I think that's worse.
It does seem like it has been like a really interesting cultural push to like get away from all of that as well. I guess that's what I'm saying.
A lot of I'll say this. I know. Okay, we open up the conversation because hip hop is more than just rappers, right? Okay. It's a culture, right? It encompasses more than just the MCs, right? And in modern hip hop, we agree that strip club culture has been like carved out a niche piece of its own sort of hip hop, like that there is a element of hip hop that's heavy in the strip club, right?
For sure.
A lot of the action in the strip club is on that pimp shit, and a lot of the girls in there will be like knowingly working for pimps. Like that is a heavy in that culture, and the music that derives, a lot of music that comes from that ilk of the strip clubs, in my opinion.
Yeah, but like when I'm listening to like rap music, like even like Too Short, like I think Too Short and Pimp C were like really explicit in what they were saying, but like I'm just looking at it as like an exaggeration of like somebody. Like I'm not looking at it as like to me, I don't think there's a 10 crack commandments for pimping in hip hop. Like, you know, not to say that like once you listen to Biggie, like, oh, okay, so that's what you got to do. Like, I don't think that's what that was either. But like, I don't think that anyone was listening to Pimp C and hearing anything more on the surface level of like, okay, he's like a ladies' man. Like, he's like, I don't know, like for what you're saying, like I remember like when I was a kid and like the Chappelle Show came out, like they had Wayne Brady playing a pimp, you know, like they had on WWE, like I think there was like the Godfather, like his
the Godfather, So he had a train of hoes. He had a train of hoes come out with him. Vince McMahon, a wild boy, yo. He had a train of hoes with him. Yeah.
So like I remember all that stuff, but like as a kid growing up, and even now, like I mean, like even Snoop had like a whole pimp persona. I just used to think like, all right, these are the dudes who grow out their hair, get like, you know, the rollers, like grow out their pinky nails, and you know, might have to slap a bitch. Like that's what I thought a pimp was. I didn't know like to me, like an actual modern day pimp allegedly is someone like Andrew Tate. Like they do the Romeo play, they bring girls over to Romania, wherever it is, put them on the webcams, and now they can't leave, they can't talk to their family. Like I don't think people know that like. When modern day human trafficking is thought of, I don't think it's associated with the same braggadocious lady men's that we all know in like hip hop, you know.
TRMP 50 Cent, the last big pimp song.
Might have been.
It goes back to those blacks.
So I guess we're at an interesting space where I think it's probably appropriate to move on and move along to this next question. We've been talking about some of, I guess, the negatives of hip hop. So I ask y'all just this general question: has hip hop, in its effect from 1973 maybe, to current, has it been a net negative or net positive?
I would say net positive.
I would disagree. Like, you talking about modern day hip hop, or
yeah,
like hip hop from since its inception to now.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I
You talk
think
about
if you,
ascension to now positive.
I
What's
mean,
up,
I
John?
think if you look at just kind of the unity in culture, what the principles of the culture before hip hop, what the culture or quote unquote, you know, what what would be defined as the culture or the perception of the culture. If you look at the difference between when hip hop started and where we're at now, I think it's hard to say that it's been a positive thing for us. Uh, and I think there's a loss. Also, it's not just hip hop. I think it's been a lot of other, factors that have gone into it. But if you're just looking at the timeline and black culture before and after, it's hard to say that it's been net positive.
Would you say that it had absolutely zero negative effect until outsiders, particularly like Caucasians, got involved?
But see, I don't. I think like because I look back at like Motown and a lot of the stuff we were doing then, where we had a lot of ownership and
White
we.
folks was involved in Motown though, bro.
But hip hop was it kind of like it was an underground thing, and when it was underground, it was way more positive. It was about fighting the power, and like it even
Facts.
started with like our oral traditions on like the plantation prison camps and using the drums and secret messages. And it got to the 60s and 80s, we used to tell stories and positively influence the youth. And it's always been, it was a fad until it got mainstreamed and the world loved it. They thought it was going to go away, but they ended up monetizing it, and they picked like impoverished black artists to manipulate them and lead the culture astray.
But
So
it
I don't
but
know.
then it was the tool that helped set us back. It was still hip hop. They used hip hop to set us back.
Uh,
It
I
was
wouldn't
just it
say hip hop
no
set us
matter
back.
who
Like,
used it, it was still the
Hey,
tool.
fellas, for y'all go into a full deep dive. I think it's two people that haven't answered yet.
yeah. Like, I wouldn't say hip hop set anybody back. Like, I look at hip hop in its proper context. Hip hop is a entertainment vehicle. It's an entertainment vessel, and I would say as far as like giving black people like more like platforms to kind of launch themselves. Yeah, I would say hip hop 100% is a net positive. Like Vince Staples has a show on Netflix. Like like Fresh Prince of Bel Air. Like he was able to launch his career into the multimedia mogul that he is off of Fresh Prince of Bel Air and him and Jazzy Jeff. Same thing with 50 Cent. Like honestly, as far as I can think of, every prominent person within the entertainment business had their start in hip hop, and they pretty much use it as a vehicle to kind of launch different endeavors. Like Childish Gambino, great example. Like the show Atlanta, the way he was able to tell his nuanced story of the black experience in Atlanta, like that wouldn't be possible if it wasn't for the vehicle of hip hop. I'm not
Right.
saying hip hop is supposed
So
to like.
Alex, I guess, and well, I'll ask this, but I do want to let the other people answer as well. But so I think you're talking about like the impact that it's having on people getting rich and famous from hip hop.
Yeah, the
The question
opportunities
is more
generated.
I'm speaking more so just like the general impact that it's had across the community since its inception until now. So not what how well it's benefited the famous people, but has it been beneficial for us as people, and whether it's the lessons or conditioning that it has brought about to us over the span of what is it, about 50 years now. But yeah, A Black, net positive, net negative.
The short answer is yes, net positive, but it's complicated because it wasn't net positive for majority of the time, an upper trajectory. And I feel like when corporate interests got involved, when money got involved, that's when it started shifting to have a lot of more negative aspects. While the positive still existing too, but then the negative was taking over the mainstream. And so you see, once the money got involved, yeah, there are a few figureheads that have benefit, that have gotten rich on it, but the messages have changed. Hip hop was like a voice of the community, it's a voice of expression. It was, super anti-police, anti-government, very Afrocentric at one point. All of these different elements were in the early parts, and in the music, when they wasn't making no money, they were just doing it for the love. They were just doing it because this is what they were kind of birthed in. And then they started paying people. They started realizing, all right, let's put this into the capitalistic machine. and let's start controlling these narratives and these messages. So we see hip hop being positive on an international scale in areas where money isn't heavily involved, and they're able to use it as a form of expression to lead campaigns, to lead revolts, to galvanize their youth in many different countries. So that's one current modern day positive net of hip hop. But in our current American culture, it's like, I won't say it's negative or positive. It's just kind of like stagnant. It's like a stalemate of like what's it about to evolve to. I think we saw a lot of that with this recent battle. I think that's a lot of what Kendrick is fighting for. Is like, it's not just about Drake, but what Drake represents, this corporate monolith of this taking over, and not only taking over with money and views and streams, but of the messages of what we value, what's important. And I feel like that's when it becomes negative, when you kind of see these conversations of what people value, what they don't matter, what we're talking about with this vehicle. When we used to talk about world events and uplifting ourselves, and the majority of the music on the mainstream is negative. It's, we're not talking about what's going on in Gaza or the Congo or different things, and that's kind of how they want it to be. They want us to talk about hoes and drugs and shooting, and that doesn't mean that other music doesn't exist. It's just not popularized. It's not pushed to the top of our algorithms. It's not what the majority of the masses are seeing, are not only seeing or what they're caring about. Like, hip hop had a culture of people who really cared about uplifting shit. And like, that's when the downside is happening. Like, people don't care about nothing of real value anymore. There's always exceptions, of course, but the mainstream, they don't care about shit, man. Let's have fun.
So quick question, and whether Black, whoever wants to answer it. But matter of fact, G, go ahead. You go.
Yeah.
First.
So like, one thing I want to say too, I think it's been a net positive, and I think the reason why is because hip hop is arguably the ultimate connector when you talk about connecting generations. So if you look at, for example, when our parents grew up, they didn't necessarily listen to the same music as their parents, but today, oftentimes parents are listening to the same type of music as their kids, right? So it's a way to connect this generationally. And then another thing, I heard KRS-One do a lecture, and he talked about how today the folks who are on those boards of these major corporations versus 50 years ago, they grew up fans of Wu-Tang, fans of him, fans of folks who otherwise they didn't, as a Black community, they would have been very much cautious of, afraid of, but growing up somewhat normalized to these Black superheroes, if you will, because that's what hip hop creates. It creates these Black superheroes that oftentimes are funded by majority white audiences. And so I do think there is a net positive in that, KRS-One mentioned the corporate thing, and then Jay-Z talked about how basically hip hop's done more for racism than anything else. And so I do believe that power of hip hop does have the ability to bring us together in these unique ways that I don't think anything else has really ever done.
Gotcha. So I guess maybe I make two questions. I guess one, it sounds like everybody's narrative of the history of hip hop tends to be very similar, where it started out as a pure expression of, urban culture. And then there was a time where capitalism or corporate interest, or I guess a bunch of different words we could use, got involved. So what time frame would y'all say that was? And since then, has it been the modern conception of it longer than it was the previous, I guess, inception of it?
I'll go. Because I want to kind of respond, like, as far as like the timeline. I think if we look at even like movies like Straight Outta Compton, it was like early '90s when it kind of got sold out, and the other side kind of took over. And if you look, we're talking from 1973 to 92, 93, that's 20 years. It's been like 30 years since then. I think there's been a clear, conscious agenda ever since like the gangster rap era to push a negative stereotype to the black community or about the black community. Maybe not, to us specifically because we're not the biggest consumer, but it's a perception of this thing that's going on in the black community that they're pushing out. And I think over time it does matter because you get people from our community that who, if you don't have the proper leadership and the proper guidance, that you can look to some of these movies and get your moral compass or the way you're supposed to behave. And even like today, they talking about this has been the best time for hip hop, but these tracks, I mean, we got a couple good songs, but basically like two dudes just like spilling the beans about how bad the other person is, and I don't see how that's positive, for black culture. If like this past week has been the epitome of hip hop over the last couple 20 years, and so I don't see how we can say it's net positive, looking at how it's what's become of it, and
Bro, you
what's
just answered my fault. You kind of answered your own question because you were talking about how other people got involved, and then what Q just said, like with where did it start? We've always been given secret messages in our own slang and spoken word over drums with rhythmically and dancing and everything like that. So it's in our blood, and I think like all things like history is a current event, and everything that happened continues to happen. It's like when are we ever going to learn that failure to gatekeep what we create will always cause it to be turned into a negative or either taken away from us. If you go to country music or jazz music, rock and roll, and now hip hop, all of these things we created, and now, like, what do we really have to show for
it. But if we didn't gatekeep it, how could it be a positive? Because they use it against us. Like they have used it to slow
But
down.
is that a reflection of it, or is it a reflection of what they did to it because we failed to gatekeep? And that's what Kendrick is doing when he said you're not like us, and he called them out for being a culture vulture. And I think if we can do more of that, where we call out outside influences and go the independent route, like a lot of our slain rappers that try to go independent, they ended up dying mysteriously time and time again. Like that is what caused it to be negative, not necessarily hip hop in itself.
I understand how it could be positive, but I think in reality it's been negative. But
So
I
is it hip
understand.
hop that's negative, or is it the influence that's negative? Is what I'm getting at. Or are you saying it's one and the same?
It's the one and the same if they're using the hip hop to influence us.
I mean,
And like not
like
only
just to jump in real quick, like I don't think hip hop is positive or negative. I think hip hop is a neutral thing. Like I think hip hop is whatever you make it. Hip hop is whatever you consume. Hip hop is whatever you honestly hip hop is whatever you call it to some degree. And the reason why I say that is like I don't know, like do any of us on this panel listen to Baby Kia? No, I mean I do because I got little cousins who like him. But like Baby Kia is like literally like the
No.
pioneer of crash out music, right? And the reason why I'm saying that is like did like someone like go in and like, hey, Baby Kia, I want you to make crash out music. No, it was like, oh, like I'm already doing this. And the reason why it resonates is because people actually like it. So if anything, I think the things that seem to bubble up are more of a reflection of what we like collectively, maybe in individual pockets. But that's more so like when they like, oh man, the message is off, or people ain't controlling the message. Like, no, like there's plenty of music out there that if you go listen to it, it's like, oh man, that's a beautiful song. But does that resonate to you? Do you go out to go find it? Probably not, because you're probably not an active listener in hip hop.
But
So
hey,
like,
Alex, I got a
yeah,
question. If you're saying like if it's reflection on us, does the fact that a lot of this negative stuff gets so much attention, is that then a reflection on us, or is that how they're using it? Because the negative
reason
stuff
why
is
I
what's most
say
popular. So if it's a
the
reflection
reason
on
why I
us,
say
that means
it's a reflection of us is because at the end of the day, hip hop is a product to be consumed and listened to. And music is an interesting commodity in the sense that it's something that you analyze, it's something that you listen to. And the reason why I say that is like I think the Lil Baby is a good example. Lil Baby, 9 times out of 10, the most beautiful bars about killing black people, the most beautiful bars about, all kinds of nonsense. Why is that? It's not because Lil Baby's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna make this because someone told me to. Like, no, that's what the people want. Because on the flip side, when everything happened during the unrest, during the lockdown with George Floyd and stuff, Lil Baby made like a conscious song, like something completely out of left field. Like, it don't matter if you're black and white, something. I can't remember the words. Like, did Lil Baby making that song? Did he make that song because like, oh shit, it's my turn to influence the community? No, it was like, oh shit, this is what we on now. I'm going to make something that reflects the moment that we're in, and that's all I'm saying.
Right. Don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. Is what you're saying. It can always be used for its original purpose. Just because we've allowed like culture people have a hold of and they can use it for negative doesn't mean we can just say that like it's to be damned. Like you just said that the baby came up and made a popular music that hit stride, just like Kendrick did. He called out. He said some real things.
So how come they don't continue to make just
because like we're not on that type of time all the time. Like that would be like saying like Kendrick Lamar made All Right, so then we got our asses up and go marching in the street. No, we're already marching in the streets. We were already protesting, and Kendrick Lamar like, oh shit, I'm gonna capture this moment in a song like we gonna be all right. Like that's what I'm saying. Like I don't.
So I guess trying to get like a consensus, maybe, or maybe not. So are y'all saying that current and modern hip hop? Let's put parameters of what we're talking about. Let's go the last 20 years, 25. So let's say since 2000, hasn't influenced like the actual music hasn't influenced like the actions and the culture of the people that listen to it.
Nope.
So you say no? Okay.
Of course it has.
Yes, for sure.
Has it influenced positive behavior out of us or negative behavior?
Both.
Well, hold on. Alex said no, so I'm interested to hear that part.
Like the reason why I said like I don't think music inspires you to do something. I think music resonates with what's already within you. Like if you about to go do a drill and you go put on like I don't know Lil Durk and like King Von, you was gonna do that shit whether that music existed or not. Like this will go all the way back, not to throw Italians under the bus, but like when they was out there bootlegging, whiskey and shit, like they were listening to opera music. Did their music influence them to go do La Cosa Nostra and organized crime? No, they were already on that type of time because that's what they had to do to survive.
So
that's what they had to do to
understand.
make money.
But
so you don't believe that like a kid listening to drill music and the normalization of like those actions, especially like let's put this at like 15 and under, could be influenced to think that these are behaviors that are normalized in general?
I'm saying if you are in an environment where drill music is something like it's like the background to your day-to-day life, 100%, you are already going to you are already in that situation. Like for instance, right? A kid who grows up in an affluent community, mom and dad, they pretty much on the fast track to college. Hell, like if you go watch like what was it, the LSU girls when they whooped somebody ass last year? Like what were they listening to? Boosie, Set It Off. Did they go out and go do a drill or something? No, they played their little basketball game, went into the locker room, set it off in there, motherfucker. You on top shit. You want to run your mouth. Like, and what did they do after that? That's what I'm saying.
Like in fights, and there was a bunch of other stuff that came with it that probably didn't represent.
But
like, did they go out and go commit acts of violence because they heard Boosie like as if like we in like a real live version of like they clone Tyrone? Like the music isn't going to hypnotize you. Oh, I must kill a black person. No.
So you don't think that people speak a certain way because of the music they hear, dress a certain way because of the way their artists dress? You don't feel like it can influence people to change in those ways either?
I think the music is a reflection of the people that it resonates with. Like period. Like I don't think you're gonna get like a Da Baby without there being people who already like, oh yeah, I like the Baby. I like the music he makes. Like that's what I'm saying. I don't think the Baby like talking about like he gonna do something and I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna go do that too. No, it's like, oh, it's a nice beat.
So in general, what about like marketing and they do to like push these artists? Like if they would just pop, like why would they spend all this money to like put them in certain communities? Like they're definitely trying to. They spend all this money to influence. They wouldn't spend this money if it was
For
just a
hip hop to be a
reflection.
worldwide product that everybody consumes, I can't say that you like, yeah, we're gonna put this in the community like as if we're like in Black Dynamite and they trying to put, Black Cobra, malt liquor in our communities. Like, no, I don't think that. Like, I think everybody listens to hip hop to some extent because people want to live vicariously through the people that, oh, he's rapping about this. I'm never going to do that. I have a job to go to in the morning. But it's nice to hear King Von
So
talk about this.
so I guess I'm just wondering. So do you think that like hip hop or music doesn't condition people at all? Like even like hip hop music, movies, anything. There's no conditioning to people at all that ever happens. Like for example,
Programming.
like when Wiz and Currency was at the height of their whole little thing, they didn't influence more people to smoke at all, or those people were all going to smoke in general.
They were already going to smoke. Prime example, I listened to Wiz Khalifa. Like, I was a big Wiz Khalifa fan. Never smoked a blunt in my life, ever.
But what the music does is it's gasoline. Like it intensifies things. So sure, you might have already had the urges to do it, but if the music is making it cool in the culture, you're more likely to want to do it and then do it more. Like there was a time people hid the fact that they smoked weed or they wasn't as open with it. It was something you did low key. And then you start getting music where, oh, this is cool. Oh, people like this. All right, boom, I'm gonna smoke on my stories now. I'm gonna smoke more openly now because it's becoming normalized. We see that in the sexual thing. Like there was a time if you selling sex as a woman, you keeping that shit on the low. Like you're not putting that shit out there. Now you got your link in your bio. You're posting it on your Twitter because you have music that is normalizing this, that it is cool in the culture and it's not bad. So yeah, some people would do it anyway, but when it becomes normalized in culture, you're going to do it even more because now I can do it openly. Then it's going to influence other people around you. Like, oh, I want to do this too. I might be living vicariously now, but shit, I might want to sell dope. I know this dude that got a brick. I got 12K. Let me try. I've been listening to the songs enough, so maybe I can do it too.
Like if a kid is failing school, it's not because they heard Boss Man D-Lo before.
Nah, it's not causation. It's not causation, right? But just because it's not causation don't mean there's not correlation. And there are artists like Young Berg, for example, is quoted growing up suburban millionaire parents, and he said, well, I listen to rap and I thought you had to be authentic to be a rapper, so I started selling drugs. I started doing stuff in the street because I thought I had to be what I was rapping. Like,
and that's not an isolated story. You hear that often.
I know it's not isolated, and I just know even just from my experience, like there's a reason why I wanted clothes to fit a certain way as a younger kid. Like there's a reason why the tall tees were tall tees and everybody had them, right? Like
Air Force Ones, bro. Remember
Air Force Ones, like it's culture. Like so it's not just that you hear a song and you start doing something. But hip hop is a culture, and that culture is so influential. It changes how you show up. I mean, even Alex, I'm looking at you like you got the rap here, you got the chain. Like you telling me hip hop didn't inspire how you showing up right now on camera?
The FBA.
No, I wear chains because my daddy wear chains, my uncle wear chains, my granddaddy wear chains. Like the shit that existed way before hip hop. Like that's what I'm saying. Like I literally majority of the time I am listening to rock and roll music, alternative rock music, alternative R&B. Like that's what I'm saying. Like I listen.
So
to
you're saying that hip hop didn't impact you and influence you at all?
I'm not saying that oh shit, like I didn't know that was a thing that existed. Like what I'm saying is
no, I'm talking about like just you and your development as a person. Hip hop has not influenced or impacted that at all.
Your dress, your speech,
more so than like the
thought
actual
pattern,
environment that I was in. No, that's 100% not. Like the things that impacted me more so than hip hop was the kids I used to go to school with, my parents, like my coaches, my church. Like those were the more impacts that it had on me. So like when I hear hip hop music, it's somewhat nullified because it's like, I mean, I kind of like this song.
So let me ask you this: Do you think that you are a minority or majority inside that?
I think I am literally the majority. I think you guys just don't acknowledge it because no, but are any of y'all like? I mean, unless I'm wrong, I'm thinking
Everybody
all
on
y'all
here says
doing
they've
this.
been influenced by
Yeah,
hip hop.
I
All
think
y'all
that,
doing this podcast from the comfort of your apartment or your homes, and
what
we
does
all
that
got
mean?
mortgages and jobs that we gotta go to tomorrow. None of y'all is in jail. None of y'all
I'm not
about
doing
to,
this podcast if I don't start out doing hip hop. If I'm being
Hip-hop is
honest,
why
like
this
that was my
happened.
gateway to doing this was as a
Hip-hop
hip
is
hop
literally
artist.
why this happened.
And hip hop definitely
Yeah.
wants me to do some shit that I
But
can't
what
say
I'm
on the
saying is, you
podcast.
like,
Yeah,
like, G,
that's
you're not about to go put on a
Entrepreneurship.
shiesty because like,
right. But that now you're going to like the lowest hanging fruit of how something can influence you. But has it influenced me to do some negative and some positive things? For sure. Like I know for a fact, my worldview has been impacted by lyrics that I've listened to. Like whether it's like it's opened my mind to think of things really different, or it's like what I mean, like influence. Like I don't know. Like
For
the
sure.
first time I had a 40 was because of, like I heard niggas rapping about 40s and shit. It wasn't because of like I just needed the big drink of alcohol right there. It was like,
Gin
okay,
and
we
juice.
getting alcohol shit.
Right.
We talking about 40s. Like that's a direct. But at the same time, there's mad like conscious lyrics that opened my mind to some shit. There's mad like I used to be a Lupe fan back in the day, and
Ooh, yes,
listening to Lupe
sir.
at
Lupin the
moments
third.
like it opened a different perspective for sure. Like pretending like that putting them headphones on and listening, and then like Child Rebel Soldier, for example, like that didn't impact me in learning about like world conflict and shit like that. Like all these things would be pretend if I was to act like it had no impact. Like it's also the same time. Like, have I gotten to scuffles at the club off of like Little John and Nuck If You Buck? For sure. If that song was not going on and we weren't jumping in a fucking mosh pit, I'm pretty sure I was not about to do anything.
It's like they cloned Tyrone when they
so like,
played
so
all
like,
music.
what it sounds like y'all are saying that like hip hop has a potential to like literally be sarcastic terrorism, where like you can, hey, I didn't kill him. I told
Well,
somebody
I
else
think
to
that
go
it can
kill
be a
somebody.
variable.
Well, they do point to hip hop as what you just said. Actually, they use lyrics in court. They use hip hop to say like this person was listening to this type of music, so they acted a certain way. So I mean, they do use hip hop the way you just described it. Sometimes
Thug about to
This is
get
a good
slimed
example.
off some lyrics.
Right. This is a good example for you, Alex. You know, in Jamaica, they banned hip hop and all that type of music over there because they said it was influencing people to do a lot of criminal activity in 2023. So that they wouldn't have done that if they didn't feel like it was causing an effect.
Let's see.
Okay, well, as Alex is looking it up, I guess I would like to know everybody else. It sounds like everybody else does believe. How has hip hop affected you negatively slash positively?
I'll say negatively. Um, it's put a little bit of an influence for me to do things that I necessarily didn't want to, or it made me think certain stuff was cool that wasn't any part of my principles growing up. And I would look at certain things and try to emulate stuff. And a
like
lot of
what?
we ain't gotta.
Weed.
Hey, you
Weed,
know,
you said weed. Johnny
yeah,
used to be the weed man, and he ain't even
nah,
tell
No,
the
I ain't
truth.
saying all that, but Lil Wayne did
yeah,
have it. You know what I'm saying? We did
yeah.
listen to a lot of Cardis. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
but like I mean, but like that's
Oh,
not something that would be like natural that I would have naturally gravitated to if it wasn't for hip hop.
mhm,
And so I mean that's um probably a negative. Hip hop has also like forced me to like kind of put myself out there and do things I
mhm.
normally wouldn't necessarily do as an introvert when it comes to uh getting on stage or trying different creative lanes. So I mean I can definitely see a positive and a negative. Uh, but a lot of that negative stuff I did, luckily, but a lot of the consequences could have been very bad if things didn't necessarily work out for me. So that's why I'm net negative because
A Black.
Yeah, I was definitely trying to be a drug kingpin for like a smooth 2 years. I was definitely listening to all the cocaine music you can think of, from Pusha T to Benny the Butcher, like literally seeking it out, feeling empowered, like embodying the lifestyle. And you know, it wasn't until 20 cops was outside my crib that I was like, you know, this ain't really me. Like, this shit is really fun when it's fun, but then you remember, like, oh, this is against the law. Let me go put on some Gladys Knight and some shit. Because like the thing about is we talk about hip hop as a genre, but music itself is spiritual. So it's you internalizing whatever you listening to repeatedly. You know, you're thinking about, and then your thoughts will become your actions, and not in every case, of course. Like we gave examples throughout the show. We don't do everything we hear, but you can influence your spirit to influence your thoughts to say, you know, maybe I can try this, you know, maybe I can sell this or talk to this woman like this or do whatever, you know. So that's the negative side. And the positive side is it influencing you to do good things. You know, hearing somebody rap about or speak about an experience you're going through or a story that resonates with you, you know, knowing that you're not alone because, damn, this man is like spitting my life right now. And I'm not the only one thinking and feeling like this. And that helping you get up in the morning, being in the gym, you know, it help being a motivating factor, you know, having something to inspire you and to strive for, listening to something like if they rapping about some tropical place or doing these things, you know, like I want to do that too. So it's like always not a flex. It's like, damn, like I wanna be able to speak and live like this as well. So it's an inspiring force as well. So it's two sides of the coin, and you know, it comes down to your own temperament and how easily impressionable you are just as a person. You're easily impressionable, then yeah, you might be riding out here doing drive-bys and while your parents are home in the suburbs. But if not, you know, you'll snap back to reality. You can kind of separate art from life and shit, and just enjoy some dope dealing music while you go back to your corporate job at the same time. But you know, it can be
the boardroom.
Yeah, it can be inspiring at the same time. You just have to look at where you're looking at it from.
Like none of us are inspired by Lil Nas X. You know what I mean? There's like boundaries to how far the inspiration goes.
I mean, he don't even.
But do you think that he has had a impact on a group of because he's not even our generation either?
Yeah, he's
But
they
do you think
definitely
he's had an impact on a different generation?
They
Negative.
definitely are the kids. That doesn't mean that he's a plant. I think the plants are net negative.
He's got one hit, right?
Yeah,
he got multiple hits.
Does he got more than one hit?
Yeah, I think he
don't
having.
know
I don't think that he really like reverberates within like our sphere, but he be doing whatever he be doing for sure.
He kind of fell off though, right? Like I haven't heard from him.
I don't know. I think he always finds like
I think he actually got canceled by something.
Oh, is it when he was doing like
he was just
the
Met
real
Gala,
religion thing?
Yeah, he was just at the Met Gala.
They tried to like the religious folks tried to cancel him.
Oh yeah, when he was dressed as the devil.
Gay, to be honest, I think he's really gay. I don't think he's really actually gay. I think he had to do what he do to get a little piece of change.
I don't know. Bro is like pretty much like a very prominent like Nicki Minaj like, online stand. Like I think he was like the head of like the Barb's fan club or something like that. So like,
yeah, I heard that.
It doesn't make him gay. I'll never see him with a dude now, unless it's a music video being performative. For he's
you don't really ever see him
not be gay in public.
But Trey, when do you see him outside of like when you have to see him anyway?
Yeah,
I'm saying we don't ever
look for you see him with some dudes.
Yeah, he was just like literally he was just at the Met Gala with his boot. Like I'm not kidding.
Oh man!
Like I only see him in music videos. There's never another time that I see, bro.
I thought he only had that one hit, man.
How did we get here?
All right, yeah.
We talk about influence, and this is an example of like what kind of what Alex said, where if it's in you, it might be an influence, but it's not the end all be all. To where I'm trying to like give Alex a little like.
You gotta listen to it though. All right, listening to it, it ain't gonna influence you. He's shock value. Most of the time you hear about him is some shock value stuff, but his music outside
I think Lil Nas X is like
You don't
a
hear
good
Alex, can I
example
ask you a
because,
question?
huh?
I said, can I
Yeah,
ask you
I
a
think
quick
Lil Nas X is a good example of like what I'm saying. Like, I don't think your son listening to Lil Nas X is gonna make him like, oh, I like boys all of a sudden. Like, no, if your son like boys, like Lil Nas X is just something that resonates with him.
That's
No,
a
I mean, but
Like,
the thing
You
is,
concern
but
now.
it's like that's what I'm saying. It's like it's like seeing these superhero like figures. So it's like
Yeah.
so I agree with you to some degree. It maybe if you identify with what he's talking about, then yeah. But like so if you identify with your artist, they're going to influence you. At the end of the day, like they're going to influence you to some degree if you identify
Especially
with
the
the
younger
artist.
you are.
And that's not even just hip hop. That's rock and roll. That's R&B. That's folk music. That's like tap dance. Like that's art in general.
I got stand by what I say because like I think like
So Alex,
for
let me
me,
ask you
like
this.
one of the most best albums I heard in like the last decade was Igor by Tyler the Creator. And I think that's kind of like when he was coming out. Like to me, that was just good music. Like to me, I was like, oh, cool. But like I didn't like, oh man, like what have I doing my whole life? Like no, I didn't like start
Nobody's
questioning.
saying
Right. I think
nobody's
that
saying
you
that.
keep taking it like to the furthest of the extreme. And as a rational,
And we also talking young people too.
right.
Like
And
yeah.
as a rational, intelligent, older guy, you can clearly separate like what you consume and its like entertainment value from how it should impact your life. But let me ask you this. So would you be okay with like let's say hypothetically you have a daughter. Would you care what she look like? Could she be listening to Sexy Red, I'm looking for the hoes, and Hands on Your Knees on back to back in a room? And you have like you cool with that?
Like how old is my daughter? Like
5.
Old enough.
No.
10.
Why? No, he said you said no. Why?
Because I don't want my daughter to like be in that environment. Like when you gonna have time to listen to Sexy Red?
Like on
if you're
TV,
not in that environment all day.
On YouTube, on TV.
Yeah, on YouTube, right? Like on that TV right behind you. Like
She
it
can
can play.
listen.
It's
not
really
like she
easy.
knows
On the
Let me put it
radio.
this way,
It's on the
like,
radio.
I wouldn't want my daughter to hear that, but it's not
Why
because
not?
like
Why?
oh, like let me get to it because it's not
Okay.
because like oh like because Sexy Red this, Sexy Red that. I believe that hey, if you're listening to this, when are you gonna have time to do your homework? What else can we have you listening to? Are you even in the environment where we're gonna be playing that? That's what I'm saying.
What if all of her homework's done? Cause she like and she wants to listen to Sexy Red. That's cool, right?
If all the
FIU.
homework is done,
All the
if my
homework's done,
daughter
like,
all like she's 5 years, like the but like this,
and
it
there's
doesn't
no
make
homework
any
at
sense
5 years
because
old.
my point
It's
isn't
her
that
nighttime
like
music.
my
Bro,
point isn't
take
that
your
like
L. You debunk
this is what
yourself.
I'm saying.
Hands
My
on your
point
knees.
isn't that like oh like you listen to Sexy Red because now you're going to do this. What I'm saying is if you're in an environment where you're listening to Sexy Red, that's what you were already going to do as a father, as a parent. No, my daughter isn't going to listen to no Sexy Red by default because that's what we don't do that in my house. I don't even listen to Sexy Red.
Why?
So where's my daughter going to come across hearing
But
that?
what if she's
At
on
school.
the radio and then or yeah, but I say at school she has friends and they told her
And
about
all right,
how
like
fire it was.
if my daughter hears that at school, on top of all the stuff that I'm doing at home, like I can't control that. But that
No,
isn't
but when
gonna
she
make
gets
my
home,
daughter
why
be
can't she listen to it?
because like we don't do that in my house.
Because it
Like-
probably
like-
will have like a negative impact inside some. You're trying to steer away from the negative impact of it, correct?
Like
Yeah,
I
that's the
get where
reason
you-
why you wouldn't do that in your house, or no?
like Q, like there's a lot of stuff I don't do in my house. Like I don't leave my car running in my garage so people can get monoxide poison. And like there's
Because
certain
that's
Right, because
negative.
there's a negative
There's a negative
impact.
impact. Yeah, exactly.
I
yeah.
get that. Like you're still walking down the road of where I'm saying.
all right. No, it's not that. It's you as a parent. You create the environment. You create the standard for your child,
Right.
right?
Yes.
What I'm saying for the worldview and the standard that I'm trying to create for my daughter, there is no time for no Sexy Red. If my daughter just so happens to listen to Sexy Red, I don't think my daughter's going to become Sexy Red overnight.
A lot
So,
of
like that's
daddies
what I'm
do.
saying. Like
Overnight.
Overnight.
But
What if she
eventually-
listened to Sexy Red for breakfast, lunch, and dinner?
Just in her like when she
Sexy
put her
Red daddy
headphones
ain't think
on.
she's gonna become sexy.
Yeah,
Her
Yeah.
hands will
Yeah.
eventually like it's just what it is.
Oh my
like
I get what y'all saying,
But like you're softly admitting it, but you don't want to admit it. It's almost like that's why you use the carbon monoxide.
It's
example.
not like y'all
that's a direct
are
correlation that
misunderstanding
you
my
don't
point.
run that
I
car
am not
because
saying that like you listening to Sexy Red is going to make you a HO. What I'm saying is if you are a HO, Sexy Red wasn't the thing that did that. Like if my daughter grows up like Lord willing, knock on wood, my daughter grows up to be a very promiscuous woman. That's because I failed her as a father. That's what I'm saying. Not because she heard some songs.
But environment outside of just literally your parenting cannot have any impact. There's like it's not a multivariable scenario.
I guess it could. Like, I guess like whatever situations you're put in on a day-to-day basis. Like, I don't think none of us are cannibals, but if y'all is hungry enough and desperate enough, I think somebody's like, calf muscle look really appetizing. I mean, if that's what we're going with.
Like you're exaggerating the example.
No, I'm not. I'm walking you to your final conclusion of what you're saying. Yes, like if you're put in certain situations, yes, anything is possible. But what I'm saying is, if for us to say that hip hop music is doing something to all of us, no, we are already in those environments where that is like already the common. That's already the norm.
So what about when Johnny just said that he wasn't in that environment, but it enticed him to want to be in that environment?
I would say like I would have to go back and review like what situation were you in, Johnny? Like maybe that's not what y'all did at home. Maybe that's not something your parents wanted you to do, but who were you around 24/7? What were y'all up to 24/7?
We were listening to Lil Wayne. It's like we was
and wanted to live out the lyrics, right? Like that's not like an uncommon thing. But let's we do have a super chat. Shout out to Brother Marcus. Want to read that off real quick. It says culture is supposed to lead to civilization. Hip hop has been trashed since '96. Corporations are intelligence operations.
96 was like a golden year.
Well, yeah. So I guess again we know where Alex kind of stands at on this. Do we have any other opinions on the topic?
I think Brother Marcus summed it up real good though, because it's been trashed since corporations took over. But does that mean it's a net negative? It's a net negative if you talk about the corporate influence. But as far as what it came from, I think the soil that it came from, you can't really take that away. And I think Kendrick Lamar, that beef that he has with Drake, they're cleaning house. I think we see that with other people that got cleaned out house too. Even like Cat Williams talking about the Kings of Comedy and all them. Like, and he's standing on real shit. So I think the real shit will always prevail. In the face of it, we get that out, then it's a net positive. But the people that control us,
Trey, I think you're supposed to be answering how it has affected you positive and or negative.
I think entrepreneurship is what I took when I heard people talk about hustling. I mean, I was selling all kind of mixtapes and CDs and everything in school. I thought I was going to be the next Pharrell. It got me into music, take that more seriously. I think you have to get in where you fit in and the influence. Because I think even Thug Motivation 101, he said, if that's what you do, either way you got to hustle because every day is another day. He didn't say that the only way to hustle was to sell dope. So I think it's a little in the middle. Like if you were raised in a certain environment, and then what you have to hustle is right here, they might encourage you to do that.
But Trey,
and you're going to do the other thing.
But Trey, the average person who heard that might not have had the resources. The easiest thing for the average person that was listening to that was to sell was whatever was right there.
Listen, all I know is Tramadol hit Oaklawn Avenue like a ton of bricks, boy. And it was interesting seeing how many dope boys was made out of that.
It was like just to kind of branches outside of hip hop. Like
it was an interesting time to be alive.
Literal dope, Trey.
Like one thing that y'all keep saying is that like there is some kind of like outside entity kind of controlling the message that gets put into the community. Like, do y'all feel the same way when there's like civil unrest going on and like tensions are high, and then like all of a sudden like Louis Armstrong is making "I see clouds of white and streams of green," or in the 80s when riots were happening, and then Bobby McFerrin is like snapping "Don't worry, be happy," or when in the like early 2010s, like when all the these unarmed shootings are happening, and then Pharrell's like, "Be happy." Like, do y'all think that's like the thing that's put out to pacify the Black community, or like what do y'all think of those kind of songs?
You said art imitate life, is life imitate art, like the age old.
Yeah, that's pretty much what he's asking. Yeah,
it's a mixture.
Because a lot of the times, like I would hear, like, man, why Pharrell making that silly ass song? Why you want us to be happy? We don't need to be happy right now. We need to be upset about something. That is something that people say.
Alex, I think the problem with art is when the latter happens, when you get art that people are trying to imitate because it's been malinfluenced, it's been contaminated, it's been poisoned, and you get people trying to emulate that art because it is a cycle. You get art that imitates life, but then at a certain point, you see the opposite happen. And when it's a poison art, and you get people trying to imitate it and influenced by it, there are consequences.
Well, like I get like art imitating life. What I'm saying is like, what is a criticism when, like, ad nauseum at certain points in history where there's nothing but positive. Like, don't look over here, don't riot now, don't have any civil unrest. Do what Pharrell says, be happy, go down the street skipping, and think that nothing is happening.
But Alex, that would go to your point when you said it's about what's in us. If you're saying that we're going to resonate.
No, I'm standing by my point. I'm asking y'all, how do y'all remedy that with y'all thinking that there's someone controlling the message to influence negative behavior within the community? Do y'all think
we say that? Did somebody say that somebody's controlling the narrative to influence negative? Did somebody make that claim?
Trey.
Yeah, I think Trey makes that. I don't think, but so are you asking that to Trey or everybody? Because
everybody.
I think that's more what G is saying.
Because that's like a common criticism of Bobby McFerrin, Louis Armstrong. It's like, man, when we getting our ass whooped out here, y'all making all these silly ass positive songs.
Y'all never heard of
songs? Why are they pushing this shit on the radio? Like, for instance, like Chuck D, "Don't Worry, Be Happy" is a #1 jam. Damn if I say you can slap me right here. Public Enemy, 1980 something. That's literally what he said. So even back then, people were like, damn, why are you talking about all this happy shit? Like, we out here protesting. We out here singing "Fight the Power."
I think those people were more organic. But if you're saying there's no such thing as a COINTEL agent provocateur, then I think you gravely mistaken.
Like, that's what I'm saying. Is Bobby McFerrin a provocateur? Is Bobby McFerrin like a
I don't even know who that
industry
is.
plant?
Yeah,
Is Louis Armstrong an industry plant? Is Pharrell an industry plant?
No, those are organic people. Drake is an industry plant.
Yeah, like, I don't know. I think we're going into like a interesting, not interesting, but like a very nuanced space of the conversation. In which, like, I don't know, like, correct me if I'm wrong. Maybe I'm interpreting it incorrectly, but like, you keep using like a example that juxtaposes maybe like the current current, whether it's social or political time, to say, hey, well, this thing happened, so how could this exist and these other things are happening? But you used inside your own example how Chuck D he wasn't really rocking with the person that you said, and said that doesn't reflect the time. So we don't want to hear that right now. So
yeah,
in asking your question, it seems like the answer is kind of like, you know what I mean, nestled inside the same exact thing. Because of like, there is always going to be a diversity of thought, a diversity of like experience, and what people interpret out of a scenario, right? Wouldn't that like kind of just be the simple answer to your question?
Not necessarily. Like, I'm saying, like, I think you explained it well, where it's like, hey, like, we have a diverse opinion of thoughts, like whatever resonates. But like, I don't think no one was like, hey, Bobby McFerrin, you want to make $1 million? Make a song that distracts Black people. I don't think that's happening. And I also don't think like, hey, King Von, here's $1 million. Make a little song about, spending on 63rd. Like, I don't think that's happening either. I think people are just.
Right, I don't think that like the majority of the panel's trying to like make that claim at all.
That's what it sounds like.
I don't know who that's like. Who sounds like?
Oh, y'all just don't want to stand on business now, but I'm joking.
No, I know Trey feels like. Hey, Black, is that like your sentiments?
That you saying that you don't think labels or people are saying like, here's $1 million, talk about this or that.
Like Sexy Red is playing it there to try to lead women into like glorifying
conversation. So the way they sell it is a lot of times those artists is already kind of making that music, and so they're not gonna say keep making this directly, we'll pay you. They're gonna say stay your true self, be authentic, don't change, doing exactly what you're doing.
Yeah.
And
we'll incentivize you.
But they choose the worst of us to give the money, and that's the issue. It's not like they're making people change. It's just they choose the worst examples.
I worked for the Source magazine where we had morning board meetings, and they sat and argued about who should be on the cover between Chief Keef and Big Crit. This is the time Big Crit was like, at his peak. And so working for the Source, working for a Complex magazine, both in New York, both office buildings like directly across the street from each other, you see who's in those buildings. It's cool hip hop Asian kids, it's cool hip hop Jewish kids, and they're the ones that's making the decisions about our culture. And they choosing Chief Keef, like not because of the effects of his messaging, but because he's popular with the streets and this, that, and the third. And I'm in there making an argument for Big Crit. I'm like, yo, Crit just dropped this. I forgot what that tape was. He had a hard tape at the time, but
forever in a day.
But just to give some Chief Keef, and I'm not even a big Chief Keef like fan like that, but he did pioneer a whole new like branch of rap based off of a large part of what he brought to.
But I think that's not what he was saying.
I'm not denying that.
He's saying like comparing Crit to me. I'm hearing you comparing Crit to Chief Keef
how
as if like
structures can intentionally push
they
one
can
over the other.
Influence the pioneering. When you put him on the cover of a magazine, when you start putting him in the forefront, they are intentionally influenced who can pioneer what. If they put Crit on the cover and they put his stories on the top of their sites and things, he could be the wave as well too. But they are literally picking and choosing, creating the wave of like who they want to be popular, and their reasoning behind it is usually not to fit Black culture.
Hey Alex, I'm gonna come to you. Quick housekeeping, really quickly. One, at the 2-hour mark, we'll be opening it up live chat, where we'll love to hear y'all opinion. The question of the day is: has hip hop stunted Black culture? We haven't asked that directly. We're about to build into it, but we'll love to hear y'all opinions on it. If y'all think it's right, wrong, X, Y, Z. As well, if you would like your comment read off on the show, hit the super chat. Super chats will be reading immediately after we kind of finish whatever segment we're at. If you would like to support G, Johnny, Alex, Trey, A Black, cash apps are inside the bio. Feel free to support the panel. If you agree with what they say, again, all of us are taking time out of our days, our nights. A lot of us got to get up early in the morning just to kind of have these really nuanced cultural conversations for y'all. Alex.
Yeah, this is kind of go off of what A Black was saying. Like, I don't think they were picking, and I don't think this is what you were saying. Like, I don't think they picked Chief Keef because, like, yeah, this is going to be, like, detrimental to the Black community. It's like, oh, like, Big Crit, he's only relevant to people in the South. I don't really think that's going to be a good business decision. Chief Keef was everywhere. And the reason why I say it doesn't have anything to do with, like, what impact is going to have on the culture or not is because at the same time, like, Chief Keef was coming into prominence. So was someone like Chance the Rapper. So was someone like Childish Gambino. Like, three people on completely different spectrums of hip hop that somehow managed to come to prominence at the same time. I think what people pick is what resonates with people. Like, in the days of like big data and analytics and metrics, like, you can be like someone like Tizo Touchdown, a complete oddball, putting nails in your hair, but somehow you can find an audience and somehow you can get pushed at the same time as not even push, like, hey, like, you are making music. Can we make music with you? The same way they'll look at somebody like in like Infinity, something like those four brothers and sisters up in like Brooklyn who like sing the most like innocent songs ever about Black people and the Black experience. All this is possible. That's all I'm saying. I don't think anybody is like directing the culture each way or the other. I think it's really like, hey, does this make money? Does this have legs? All right, let's do it. You know.
They definitely are directing the culture, and it's like
Definitely.
you say Chief Keef is everywhere. There's somebody behind, every platform that's approving, him being everywhere. Was he hot in the streets? Yeah, it's niggas hot in the streets right now that probably none of us don't know about. But if we go to Atlanta, we go to certain areas, everybody's talking about them. That's always the thing. The thing about going mainstream is there's people that have to approve this music, and if you don't already care about Black people and their experience and their culture, you typically are approving things that are going to be more detrimental to them. All the shit can make money. Like the first $1 million deal in hip hop was Rakim, and he was talking about 5% or shit. Like so what the culture values. If niggas get on here and start talking about CMOS and it goes to the top of Apple charts, then they will put money into that. It's about what the culture values, and they create. They start creating what we value through who they promote, and they definitely pick and choose who they promote.
I want to add something to that too. Like Alex, when you say like when you said they're not like going back and say I'm choosing him because it's going to be detrimental. I don't think the intent matters. I think it's the consequence that matters. If we're measuring like our culture at the end of the day, it don't matter if they didn't have like the worst intentions. If they're choosing a person like Chief Keef, and we can see a detrimental impact on our culture, it's a net negative. Again, and it's not something that we have to that's why Trey say gatekeep, because they don't have to have the best intent. They don't have to have the worst intentions. But if the results aren't good for us, it doesn't matter.
And typically, I would imagine that in that board meeting, because I kind of remember, because you're probably talking about like 2013 ish. Is that fair, A Black? Between 2012 and 13, where like Crit had a big push at the same time, and in my opinion, it sounds like they went with they believe was a better cultural safari to what they believe Black artists should be. And I imagine that decision is made a lot of times. But then, to me, if we think about Chief Keef's actual impact that he did have in Chicago, and with the drill era ushered in, but then, and this goes back to like the conversation of how music impacts. Like then as the drill scenes moved to different locations, like the Florida drill scene became its own vicious cycle of killing. That became like egregiously crazy, right? But then you seen the exact same thing happen once New York said, we're going to have a drill scene, in which kids were incentivized to rap about real killings that they're doing, and then it became a cycle of them continually doing that exact same thing. I don't know. I love to hear your opinion on that. Like, because to me, even drilling itself, the nature of it promotes the cycle of hip hop's negative impact.
Like, do you think that like kids would be drilling if they weren't already in gangs?
With kids, I think that
it's like I think what you're saying is like, like you're talking about Chicago, you're talking about Jacksonville, New York, but like all these places already had criminal elements to them. Like even like the roadman over there across the pond in England, like they had their own drill scene where they was splashing the kids and stabbing and all that shit. Like that's because there was already poverty there. Like I don't think the drill was like, oh yeah, I heard this drill song. Like, no, we already have beef with y'all. Like, fuck y'all over there. Like, and this is the soundtrack to it.
Gotcha. And so you don't think that like literally saying like F this person and this is what I did to this person that literally died, and then shooting the video over there had an impact on any retaliation at all. I think that there was a different impact where like if they was talking about like drugs, or if we just went to like the druggy era or something like that, like the impact of that music, maybe it was more kids like ODing or something like that, or it was more kids involved in smoking weed or something like that. But during the drill era, where you seen how every song incited the next song. You don't believe that there was like a direct correlation to the music?
You're jumping on to the party late. Like a lot of like, go look at like how the whole thing in Chicago happened. Like, like these were literally like, you know, like schoolyard fights that just escalated, and then the music came.
Oh no,
like,
for sure. But then
Hey,
did the music impact it at all?
Can I add something? Can I add on to it?
Oh, like yeah, go ahead, Johnny.
Because like, well, like if could you maybe admit like this, Alex? If like the people were already like doing this stuff, the way the music has like influenced people to rap about it, and then DAs and prosecutors can use that to prosecute them, do you think it has at least had an influence on the amounts of consequences that people have? Like where they're getting convicted more because of the music. They're going to jail more because of the music.
Here's why I'll say that. Like a situation like Young and Ace down there in Jacksonville, Florida, when they like before even a diss track was made, like they shot up his car with his cousins in there and them in it and his brother and stuff like that. Like I don't give a fuck what song comes after that. I'm getting mine. Like I don't care if you make I don't care if you make a song. I don't care if you don't make a song. But if you shot up my car with me and my family in it, no, I am spinning the block on you. Because at that point, it is fuck you. And that's what I'm trying to tell y'all. Like y'all saying like music is like Young and Ace like heard like Julio Fulio, like damn, he talking about my homie. No, it's like oh, it was already
the music. The music makes people go to jail more because they're rapping about it, and now the police can see what's happening and they're able to take people off the street. Where before all of this stuff was going on, it just wasn't broadcasted to the world. And the police.
But the music also does impact. But like people have feelings over music. Like if you're saying I'm smoking on XYZ and shooting a video on that person's grave, that does incite a different level of emotion. No, but G, you got something.
The other is like it's you know it's not a 1-for-1, right? Like you talk about they were already in gangs and going to do this stuff, but did music not help gang culture spread throughout the United States, right? Like so it's like there's always beefs and stuff like that, but like you can say what you want. Dipset created more Bloods than anything else in history of the world. Like after Dipset came out, Wayne was and then Lil Wayne was a Blood, and Dipset created more Bloods than anything in history. You don't think that the influence of Snoop and what he was doing didn't influence like people to become Crips and things like that? So it's like this normalization of gang culture, this normalization of revenge being the sweetest joy next to getting pussy. These things that we start saying to ourselves help reinforce, like it's like you know, we all have emotions, but you can talk yourself into doing something you know you don't have no business doing, or you can talk yourself off the ledge. And then sometimes if you don't have the real tools or that you haven't conditioned or programmed yourself to talk yourself off the ledge, sometimes that music can be a negative feedback loop to just condition or program you to have these cycles that just continue where you're not breaking out, in my opinion.
I'm not. It just adds fuel to the fire. Like we're not saying that it created the fire, but it definitely adds fuel. Like
I don't even think it's fuel.
So propaganda in general, you don't even think propaganda has any effect
I don't think it's fuel
because
from the standpoint of like the Young Dolph situation with Yo Gotti, like the other day, like Yo Gotti's brother got killed literally at the funeral. I don't think a Yo Gotti diss or a Young Dolph diss had anything to do with that. I think once they saw Young Dolph in that cookie shop the way he was, that's what pissed them off before the song even got put out. And after that, when they got the retribution was spinning the block all over Memphis, there was no fucking song that made someone do that. That's what I'm saying. Like I think y'all mean well, but like I can't reduce or minimize anybody's like sorrow and losing a loved one like that to like some song.
But let's take a dive into that one, right? Just for example, you use that example. Yo Gotti and Young Dolph beef is based off music first.
That's what I was about to say.
And then
Young Dolph. I don't think there was a diss track when they had a disagreement though.
Don't play with me, play with your bitch. He was talking about
that. They were already beefing before that. They were already at odds before that.
But
right,
what made it grow?
It was only based. Well, they was beefing off of like Yo Gotti trying to sign him and offering him a low deal, and from that, music came in which both of them took shots at each other, and it escalated from whether we want to talk about the whole thing that happened CIAA or him saying how he fucked Yo Gotti's baby mama, made videos about her, XYZ. You don't think that any of those things had an incitement to the people on that side to actually want to, in your words, quote unquote, spin the block? There was nothing in the music made any difference. Like making a worldwide mockery of the person.
Then 100 shots taunting them for failing to kill him the first time. You don't think that made him one of the...
All I'm saying is, I hear what y'all saying. I don't think that music is like the driving force. I don't even think music is all that. I think music is like a symptom of like
we already influence. We didn't say the driving force. We said
you're saying music just is like this thing that just it's literally white noise. It doesn't have any impact on your emotional mood. I mean, does it like basically you can listen to anything while you work out, you can listen to anything while you fucking, it don't change the tone, it don't change the energy. Like music has no impact or influence on how you show up.
I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is it doesn't have the impact y'all saying it does. Like, I don't think that the problems we're seeing in London and Chicago and West Charlotte, anywhere where there's crime, I don't think there's like a soundtrack that then, all right, now we're doing this. I think it was already there. And the music, I'll agree. Maybe the music makes it worse. Maybe
that's
the
all
music
saying.
I think
gets in the way of solving problems. But like if you whatever. If you like what y'all are saying, like what y'all are saying is essentially if Quando Rondo and Lil Durk stop making songs today, they beef is squashed. No, that's stupid. That's literally
not what anybody's saying. You keep going to like these wild extremes. I don't see how you keep doing that over and over.
That's what y'all are doing. I'm just saying what y'all are saying to this most logical conclusion.
Can we shout out brother Marcus? Because I think I think what the way he's saying the psychological war comes before the physical war. That is, I think, the point about the music in that I think it's like a mixture of both. To your point, I was about like with the Chief Keef versus Big Crit. I remember that time period because I was working in the school system. Chief Keef had the kids, bro. So like the kids were singing Sosa crazy. Like it was kids were putting me on to Chief Keef, Young Thug at the time. Like this was the early stages of that stuff. And so I do think there's
my bad.
I think there's an element to the marketing, but if you look at the history of music and what's been mainstream, there's been a clear decline in terms of the quality, in terms of like what's considered wholesome, what's considered acceptable. That bar has been lowered, and I don't think that's unintentional that the bar gets lowered little by little, generation by generation. People are making decisions as to what music is coming out on these labels, and that is a piece of it.
Yeah, and I guess just to double back to like, so I know I first met G at Upward Bounds, working with kids. These was like high school kids. This was the Wiz Khalifa era, right? And you could clearly see the impact on the kids from music, from like the kids that you could tell was like, you know what I mean? They were experimenting. Like, and it usually was the same kids that had the Chucks and the cargo, the camouflage cargo shorts and whatever tees. Like, you could clearly see the impact on the music that they were consuming at the time. Like, it was like I said, it not necessarily like a direct correlation, but a variable in which ends up being. And I think that what everybody here keeps saying is that not that it's a one-to-one like direct correlation, but it is a variable that typically happens. And I guess real quick, I think let me try and scroll up. I wanted to read this comment because I think maybe this space is like a really unique one in which he says, Chikui Igwe, he says, you black boys raised in households without fathers are more susceptible to thinking rap is reality and imitate it. I actually think that the panel up here, everybody was it comes from is a product of two-parent household. No,
my parents got divorced, but I was mostly raised by my dad.
Okay,
Negative.
all right, my bad. Damn, I was off.
Parents.
I thought I had a moment to stunt, but maybe not. All right.
You know how the but when FBA's clap back from foreigners talking trash, then we're the bad guys. But anyway,
I think, but also too, it's like the reality is parents don't have, but they're just one piece of how people are raised.
Oh, for sure.
You know what I mean? You learn, especially at least our era. I grew up with a house key outside, getting in trouble. Like it's a little bit different than today. So I will say, right, exactly. Like you're actually outside doing stuff and having to work things out on your own. And you're spending so much time outside of the house. The influences you get, like at the end of the day, when you're in school, you start hearing, like that's how you get put on this stuff. You start hearing about artists you never heard of, listening to music you can't listen to at home. You start doing a bunch of stuff. And at the end of the day, to me, like that, whatever that bubble is, it's not always the same, right? So like some people are real heavy when you go to one pocket of school was like, man, all them Jeezy was the shit at this particular school, but then you go to another school, they were super heavy on Jay-Z, and you go another, it's just like it really just depends on that environment, in my opinion, like in terms of what you lean toward. But you're whatever's around you, it as a kid growing up, regardless if you got two parents, you don't want to be the lame duck who don't fit in with people around you. Like nobody wants to be the quote unquote outcast, for pun intended, right? Like outcasts, they were fly niggas for their day. They weren't like these oddballs, if you will. They were odd in the world of rap, but in Atlanta they were the shit. You feel what I'm saying? So it's like nobody wants to be that kid who don't know the hottest, latest thing that everybody's talking about culturally, and that's a big piece of hip hop, in my opinion.
Yeah. Drop, man.
I'm gonna go to A Black, and then I'll pose a question. A Black.
No, I was add to what G said. It reminds me of like when Mystical dropped, because I mean, Cash Money had this huge run. Mystical, he was like you wasn't supposed to be listening to him. So only like a select few of kids had that shit. And like if you had
same
it, like
with 3-6.
Like, yeah, same with 3-6. And if you had like CDs, like you was like deemed as cool because everybody parents wasn't buying them that shit. Like that's the thing with the two parents. It's like you have one parent that's gonna at least check it, or view some stuff versus that the one parent household, they might be having to work and you might be having a lot of time by yourself or with your cousin or with your grandma and not a lot of oversight. You can go get that CD and we would gravitate towards them like, what the hell is Mystical talking about? Why can't we hear this shit? But yeah, that just brought me to a moment of like remembering like how certain kids could get certain music, and they would influence basically the rest of the school, like, because you wanted to seem cool, like even on TV shows, like
and not everybody had the fast internet. Only a few kids could actually get Napster and LimeWire and download, and it not take 5 days to get 3 songs. You feel what I'm saying? Like I had to go to my mama's job and steal that internet to make my mixtape. So I remember them days was crazy.
CDs be like $18 back then. Like this shit's a lot.
Nah, that's a fact.
Man,
hey, shout out to LimeWire.
Y'all about to get your mama's job and get a record call from the record label.
That's why I ain't gonna say. Hey, they know I was in their statute of limitations, man. But hey, look, you know when you could go to Best Buy, hey, I need that 25 pack, that spiral, and you knew you was gonna flip them 25 blanks for at least 5 a pop, boy. Those were some days, boy.
He was the person that was making them, you want to download a car commercials for.
Shit.
So, fellas, I guess getting into the title question, has hip hop stunted the growth of Black culture, or has it stunted Black culture in general? Has it pushed us to pay more attention to a lot of the low hanging fruit and the entertainment that comes and revolves around those things? Has it distracted us from a lot better cultural callings that we could be involved in? What do y'all think? Has it stunted like the youth in like their capacity or ability to, care about, I don't know, like a bevy of different things? Has
I'll say
hip hop stunted Black culture?
I'll say yeah, because I think if we're talking about hip hop, we gotta expand it outside of bigger than just the music, because it's the movies, it's the fashion, it's a lot of other things,
Is it?
and I think if you incorporate all of that, yes, there's hip hop movies, there's hip hop fashion, there's all of this, a lot of this
Hip hop
things
or industry
birthed
though? My bad.
out of hip hop, and if we look at the hip hop culture as a whole, I think it has stunted our progress, because I think we don't focus on a lot of the things that we could focus on, because of we just talked about idolizing celebrities. A lot of the biggest celebrities are hip hop celebrities that we idolize, and as a whole I think it has stopped us from getting where we need to get, just even outside of the music, just the whole culture of hip hop.
So you're saying basically hip hop and the rap industry are one and the same. So when they say hip hop is dead, when Nas said that, when you're saying hip hop now is Sassy Red, because I don't consider that hip hop.
That's right.
I mean, I think that's the yeah. I mean, yeah, I do. I am talking about all of that as one. I'm not separating hip hop from rap. I'm just talking about the rap
That's
culture as a whole.
the hip hop. But you understand when they say hip hop is dead, right? They're basically saying what you're talking about. Like that's not hip hop. Real white when Q was rapping, that's hip hop. I ain't heard no else bar, but you know what I'm saying? They was spitting. Drake, that's hip hop. Pop rap, is that hip hop or is that industry? Because there was a time where people did not respect industry, people selling
I mean,
out.
I mean, that's a valid point. But hip hop is dead. Like, would you not agree that it actually
Well,
is
all right.
dead?
So I guess
Would
like
that
we're
mean
about to get into like a really, really like nuanced is hip hop dead conversation, in which I think that trying to keep it as broad as possible, the music and culture in which we consume consistently as, I don't know, like Black people from 40 years old and under, has it stunted some of the growth of the Black culture, or has it stunted Black culture's growth over the past 30 years?
I say yes.
Yeah.
If you say that, then yeah, the
Alex,
commercialized
not
thing.
Alex, A Black.
I mean, yeah. I mean, just entertainment in general. Like, I mean, what when we say stunning, it's not progressiveness. I'll say that as a whole. Like, it's not like really moving the culture forward. Like, new things are happening, new records are being broken, but like, as far as like making significant cultural changes, it is pretty stagnant right now. Like I say, the theme that people always go back to when I get into these arguments online is everybody just wants to have fun, which is cool. I want to have fun too, but it's like it's more to life. It's more to our culture than just like having fun and dancing and turning up, having fun and dancing and not taking shit that serious. Like eventually we need to take some shit serious and we need to use this vehicle of hip hop to, as somebody said, make it be a connector with us, with the world, and like progress some issues with this music. And then we can still have fun every now and then. But like this constant fun is like the fucking Twilight Zone right
Gotcha. Junie Zone has a statement. I'll ask it as a question. He says, "Has it regressed Black culture?" G, what you think?
It has.
I think for the younger generation, I'm questioning what voice they listening to. If I'm being honest, for the younger generation,
Baby Kia.
I don't.
It's V's, it's V's, and I forget the other nigga name, but
And I
young
could
Boy,
be
boy
out of
also.
touch. I'm
Young
out of touch. I need
young
to
boy
listen.
still get hella play.
Yeah,
Little kids,
are
but
we
yeah,
doomed if it's young boy?
I feel like to the point of the diversity piece. Growing up, I had older folks who put me on to stuff, right? So I grew up. My older siblings, big Wu-Tang RZA fans, so I grew up listening to a lot of Wu-Tang stuff. I Bobby Digital, like I was listening to all the Wu-Tang single albums. as well as another brother who was huge in the Outkast, and then another one huge in the Jay-Z. So there was like a diversity. I feel like today you just get a one type of thing versus a nice perspective, a nice range of thoughts. And that to me is a detriment that's gonna ultimately like not help the next generation progress. I think the way A Black put it, I don't know if it's holding them back, but it's definitely keeping them stagnant at minimum. It's not helping them build and grow, because they're, to me, hearing the same voice sound the same way with the same messages. Like, I'm not hearing anything fresh and dope like that, like how it was back in the day where you heard something from somebody you haven't quite heard it before, and it was from a different region, all this other stuff. Even if you're from a different region today, you sound like you from the same place. Like, I didn't know that the drill niggas from New York was from New York. I thought they was from somewhere else when I first heard the music. And same deals. Like, so regionally speaking too, it's just like stuff is starting to cross mix, where it's like the purpose of hip hop to me was the end. Like, it helped establish an individual confidence in yourself. Like, knowledge of self was a big piece, and I think that's been removed from it, and that to me is a huge detriment. Like, there's no more like knowledge of self at the forefront of hip hop, and that used to be very, very much the case.
Yeah. Alex.
I mean, listening to all y'all, like, I think, you know, one of y'all said that like hip hop, like, it shouldn't just be about fun. Like, maybe I have a fundamental different belief about what entertainment is supposed to be. I don't think entertainment is supposed to be this vehicle that's supposed to do the heavy lifting of a failed society. I don't believe so. Like, I don't think that, you know, hip hop has stunted the black community or black culture or anything of that sort. If anything, I think hip hop has given, like, more so now than ever, a vehicle for a different array of voices to be heard in their authentic selves. I think a good example is Tizo Touchdown. Like, he's so hip hop that like people are like, that's not hip hop, that's something else. But like, that's what I'm saying. Like, hip hop is such a broad category. Like, when Childish Gambino did Redbone, like, that was a hip hop album. I don't think it was. It didn't sound like it was, but like, that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't think that hip hop is this stunted thing or stunts the black community. I think what's ultimately happening is society around us, not just the black community, is crumbling, is failing us, is not providing us or serving us well. And I think we want to blame the music or blame the entertainment, but like there's plenty of, you know, Japanese kids watching anime that's chock full of violence. Like, why isn't that like a criticism on how their culture is failing?
Quick
like
response to Alex.
A Black.
So, all right, I feel like you talking about a part of hip hop, which is like, you know, just rap. If we're talking about hip hop, it's more than entertainment. You know, hip hop is an art. Hip hop is a culture. Hip hop got 5 elements. Rap is just one. Lyricism. You got DJing. You got graffiti. You got b-boy. And the 5th element is history. History is the knowledge of self. Like that's the main element. So it's bigger than entertainment. It's always supposed to be a cultural vehicle, something that is, you know, beyond dance. Even the dancing, the b-boying was a part of expression of going anti-establishment. Like, graffiti.
I get what you're saying, A Black, but like, from hip hop's origins in the South Bronx,
anti-establishment.
I don't think so.
And it evolved. You don't have to think so. If you look at it, it's evolving internationally. That's what they use it for. They use it as an anti-establishment vehicle to progress their movements over there. They're not just using it just to dance and have fun.
Listen to what you're saying. Like, if we're going to hip hop in its most purest, original form, South Bronx during the 70s, like, they were in poverty. They were like, they're pretty much like what they were reflecting in their music and their art and all the elements of hip hop was their poverty, but that hip hop wasn't a vehicle for them to improve their impoverished positions.
Yeah, that's not true. It was started with the revolutionaries, like in its very beginning. Like,
I don't know what you mean, Cap. Like, what I'm saying is the people who were in bad situations and in a terrible economic situation in South Bronx, New York in the 70s didn't improve their situations through their artistic expression. They improved it through other means that wasn't related to their music.
But
So
that
It
artistic
definitely did.
expression,
Hip hop wasn't monetized at that time period, though.
it brought awareness.
exactly, that's what I'm saying. So like for us to expect hip hop to do what it was never intended to do all those years ago, it kind of misses the point.
But it was though. It was bringing awareness to people and elements who had no idea what those people was going through. Like Curtis Blow, who gets the first rap deal, tell you about broken glass everywhere, and then talking about the crack epidemic, and they're bringing light on a major stream to these things. Like when you go, like we just, I work at a university. We just had 3 Senegalese rappers come here to speak on how they use hip hop to propel their movement, and now they have the youngest Senegalese president in their history, and it was all based on using hip hop to galvanize people. So it's always supposed to be a voice of the people whose messages are not being spread. You know, the entertainment factor came in later when they introduced, oh, you can get paid for this. That now it was entertainment, but it was a force for civil rights, for expression of oppression, and for like making awareness of what's going on in these hoods, what's going on in the South Bronx. And then it's like, okay, other hoods here, let me tell them what's going on in Cali with the gangs and the gang life. All right, let me tell you what's going on in the South, like with outcasts and different things. So it was art reflecting life, but then they're telling the stories of like, we're not being heard, we're not being seen. So we have this vehicle of music to tell you our stories, and hopefully our situations and our environments can change now that you know, because we're overlooked right now.
I think you're getting kind of confused with like I think like Carnival and stuff like that in the Caribbean. That's kind of more like party music and stuff like that. But hip hop has always been about like in the core, it's been about spreading the message, even in the beginning, like positivity and even revolutionary music. Like even Tupac, one of the greatest hip hop artists of all time, raised by a Black Panther, put in work and always spoke on black issues. So if you take that away from it, then it's a net negative.
I get what you're saying, but I don't think it's accurate to say that Caribbean music had no political messages at all.
It's very degenerate carnival, honestly. Like, don't they do a bunch of twerking and dancing naked in
So,
the
like,
street?
if Carnival's degenerate, what's like the average strip club anywhere in America?
The difference between a strip club and like a parade in the open in the streets, people twerking everywhere.
What's Freaknik? What's
All
Black
right,
Biker Weekend?
hey, y'all boy.
I
In
mean, we're
Myrtle
talking
Beach?
about
Like,
hip
you're
hop though.
saying these things like as if like this isn't like elemental of all human experiences.
But look, what they did a documentary on Freaknik, and then everyone is trying to cancel it because they're ashamed of it, versus trying to share that culture everywhere. It's two different things. Like, I don't think
Wait,
that's
say that
our
again. So wait, say
like
that again.
the Freaknik documentary. People are so embarrassed of their behavior that they're suing to block it from being released. Versus
Are
Carnival,
you sure about that?
yeah, there's been lawsuits because some of the women on there are like judges now. They don't want people to see them freaking off in college because versus Carnival, like that is what they're known for over there. We don't want to become Carnival
So
over
Mardi
here.
Gras isn't a thing.
That is an isolated thing. Carnival is like what
Oh,
they're known.
it's isolated. Okay.
I'm saying like, yeah, we do. We're not perfect, but as far as like
Is Mardi Gras a black thing?
That's why I was trying to say earlier, like I told y'all, like the original America versus what was taken over once the French stuff went down. It does, like I think from an FBA, it's a different conversation. But how does the FBA treat those Louisiana Purchase niggas? Like, that's a great question because it's something to think about because they weren't even a part of America or until like post 1800, close to the emancipation, honestly. So, I mean, that's maybe another conversation for a different day, but I do think it's worth.
I want to be clear. I'm not saying that these things are degenerate, but like what I'm saying is like I don't know how like a whole television show called Pink Valley is a thing. It depicts like the strip club culture in Mississippi,
But
and
is
that
organic?
completely is off your radar. But you're talking about how Carnival's degenerate.
You're comparing Carnival to hip hop though. We're not talking about P Valley. We're talking about hip hop.
Hey fellas, real quick, let me get into the housekeeping. We are 2 hours in. If y'all would like to call in, we'll be dropping the call in link really soon. And as coming up, you get 2 to 3 minutes, and we'll kind of talk back and forth. And depending on How many we have backstage? We might let you stay on. Might have to kick you off. It just depends. No hard feelings. But I think y'all was getting into a carnival versus hip hop conversation. I'm gonna let y'all have it. Keep going.
Yeah, can I drop a bomb for the chat real quick? Right. So one thing we talk about Uncle Luke, Lil Kim, Foxy Brown, and what's your name? Forget Trina. They're all from the Caribbean. So I mean, like that's their culture that's being supplanted onto a culture that was supposed to be for revolutionaries. So we don't want that to become that way. And I think us being asleep at the wheel and not gatekeeping, that's what it'll become, and that's what we're seeing now. So if we want hip hop to have a resurgence, we need to not just go to like let's just have fun and twerk everywhere. We need to preserve the positivity. Otherwise, it is a net negative. But that's not hip hop. That's industry rap, and those are two different things. I think it's blasphemous for us to put the two together as if they're one. Because
but they're real similar, man. Like I don't know if you know, like the history of Carnival, like, but it started off with a lot of similar sentiments with being like a form of resistance to oppression, with them kind of celebrating the New Year, with them burning down plantations, sugarcane farms. Like, you know, the French brought masquerade parties to Trinidad and Tobago, to these different islands, but they took it, made it their own, and it became a form of resistance. Like it wasn't like just about dancing and twerking, and they're half naked because they're in hot ass climate, so they're already naked. Like, so that's already a normalized thing to them. They just celebrated it and, you know, bedazzled themselves, you know, as it evolved later on. But they coming from, if you live on an island where it's always hot, they already don't wear any clothes. So like what we see is like, oh, they half naked, like that's their norm. But you know, the roots of Carnival and the roots of hip hop, they got a lot of similarities that are not too far out. I wouldn't call carnivals.
No, it's, you don't think parading around naked, dancing sexually has anything to do with like why that area has the highest paternity fraud rate in the globe?
That's false.
No,
it's not false. We can look it up. It's all about Nigeria.
Yeah, go look it up again. It's debunked. Like,
okay, so where's the highest paternity rate? Paternity fraud rate, excuse me.
Trey, that's literally not something you can even track. It's literally a made-up statistic. How do you even track paternity fraud?
It's like the Maury show. You get a baby.
Oh my god!
you bring the person you think is the father. You do a DNA test, and you find out Shawty lying, and that happens.
So, are you telling me, Trey, that like throughout the entire world, like people are just looking for cases of paternity fraud, and then they compare what they found in Nigeria and Jamaica and all these other black places and compare them to each other? Is that what you're saying?
Saying that according to what's this website? Damn, experiment. Hold up. The first thing that came up with this is as of April 2024, Jamaica has the highest rate of paternity fraud in the world at 34.6%, with Nigeria second at 30%. Other countries with higher rate include Canada at 2.8%, UK at 1.6%.
Bro, so did you say 34% paternity fraud?
Yeah, so we don't want
one in three niggas is so wait, what does that mean, paternity fraud? Like, what does that mean?
I'm the pappy.
1 in 3 niggas is lying?
No, 1 in 3 bitches is lying.
You also compare our 12% population to these populations where they homogeneous, where they're the majority. So of course, they're going to have higher percentages of probably everything.
So you're saying it's a black problem in America? So if we compare like the black people, we have the majority of the paternity fraud. What are you saying?
With the same amount of Nigerians as black Americans in America, I guarantee all our rates would skyrocket in different areas as well too.
So you're saying in the black community we have a 30% paternity fraud rate?
I'm saying Nigeria is the most populous place in Africa and one of the places in the world. So all their percentages are going to be high just due to the fact that they have more people. That's just numbers. Like if you have more people, you're gonna have more of everything.
No, not necessarily percentage. They might have more raw number, but percentage is supposed to account for. Like, you know, so like if it's 34%, then that's going to be, you know, 34 out of 100 or 3,400 out of, you know, the next number. You know what I'm saying? Like the percentage does represent the.
I know what you're saying, but if it's more, it's still gonna be like you got more people to test, so the percentage is gonna get higher, no matter what. Like,
shout out to Don6914. He said, "You are not the father."
G, them raw numbers is what got us here in the first place.
Johnny with the joke. You got to have one of them, but them pings on there. That's what that one was. All right, fellas. So I guess as we kind of continue to move the conversation, I heard an interesting statement, and I'll love to get y'all opinion on it. It was, I don't know, it was a black woman on YouTube, and she made a statement, and I just wrote it down. I was like, this is interesting. I bring this to the panel, and I'd love to hear what y'all think. She said that, and this is in reference to like the whole Kendrick Drake thing. And you know how like right now Drake is getting hell off of being kind of like the whole cosplay culture vulture. And she said black men are the reason for culture vultures and black entertainment or some shit like that. I don't know. I'm gonna toss that in there. I'd love to see what y'all think.
Who said that?
Let the fireworks go off.
Let Trey get that one.
My fault. Who said that?
I can find the name of her really quickly. Let me text him.
Well, they said Drake was cosplaying. Is what you said?
Not even that. I think in the sentiment of like Drake and like between him cosplaying black culture and being a culture vulture, i.e., what Kendrick was saying in that third verse of the West Coast beat that he did. I think that her response to it was black men are the reason for so many culture vultures in black culture.
I mean, everything's black men's fault for some women like that. So I mean, like that's just to be determined. At the end of the day, like of course it's black men's fault that Drake is a culture vulture. I mean, even though the majority of his fans are not black men and he panders to women, it's black men's fault. It's just so ridiculous. I don't even know where to begin.
Drake can't survive without women, man.
Right. They blame a lot of this the rainbow community. They blame a lot of black men. They're in the beauty salons, and then they want to. I don't know, man. It just seems like a lot of this culture is ushered in by our women are more accepting of it. You know what y'all think? Because they are saying they're cool with it, but then they end up blaming on us, even though we're not in driving the Drake listening to ourselves talking about what's this song? Drunk. What's that song he got where he sampled the Lauryn Hill song? Care for me, care for me.
Oh, nice for what?
Yeah, we're not riding playing that by ourselves. It's strictly for the ladies. They're the ones keeping him alive. So it is what it is, man.
The women
that's true.
This past week has been crazy. Like with the girls, like not
say
all.
It again.
I was saying the women. Some of these women, I won't say all of them. Some of them surprisingly have been real logical throughout this whole beef or whatever. But some of these women, like their defenses for him, I guess their justification of why he can't do no wrong is it's real wild. Like
Kendrick told you about them women.
See a lot of that.
Told you about
what's one of the justifications you done heard?
Let me pull one up real quick.
I didn't see a whole lot of that, and I don't want to be like how the females do, where they see one dude do something, but that's why black men. No, I saw a lot of sisters be like mad, disappointed, but the loud and few, and they kind of got ripped apart by the community.
Man, I'm surprised. Like this nigga Kendrick survived domestic violence. Like it's apparently
allegations. So was any of that proven?
Was any of the Drake stuff proven? Like I mean, it's like it's all allegations.
I think that the thing because with Kendrick, he could still catch the hell if it does come out that it is true, right? With Drake, he has like the trail where he's like, I don't know, like if you just go down like all the different little incidents that, like I said, for me, it's weird behavior. I don't know if it's pedophile or not, but I know like I personally wouldn't do a bunch of things that he did. Where like I'm not going to FaceTime a 15-year-old high school basketball player with her parents in a car, and then like, who are you talking to? Da, da, da. And then send her tickets to like my concert. I'm not gonna do it. I'm not going to like befriend a 14-year-old child star and like be texting her about boys. As like 30, I'm not gonna do it. If I'm on stage and a girl tells me she's 17, I'm not going to then continue to kiss her hand, cheek, and lips.
Yeah,
I'm not personally.
I don't
the
even.
full video of the 17 thing is like she said, "I am 17." He was like, "Damn, looking like that." Then he kissed like her hand. And then he did give her like the real kiss.
That's
like,
undefensible.
I've seen it. Like
that's undefensible.
I didn't even see that. I didn't even see that joint. That joint is. That sounds crazy. That sounds crazy.
Everything else is speculation. But that one is tough.
I don't think none of the rest of it was like everything I said was like actual documented. Like I think the Guardian had like a full article of where like the parents was speaking about, and then I mean like all the girls were going interviews and be like, "Yeah, I've known Drake for like 4 years," and they be 18.
There was some statements that came out this week where there was a couple of those girls where they was refuting it. I don't know if that means
what did
anything.
They refute? The 17-year-old said that it was okay. It was for a stage act. So it's a 17-year-old giving you consent.
Oh, and she also has music out under the same label. So
you said she also has what?
She also is an artist under the same Universal.
See now that changes a lot when you know that the nigga Drake is like the Universal Ronald McDonald. This nigga everywhere on Universal, like the mascot.
So she basically came out and said it's not that serious, while simultaneously getting the most promo she's ever had. Because
I didn't know that. That's interesting.
That does change it a lot.
Not really. If it's a consistent pattern where all the teenage girls gotta go through Drake first, and then you talk about boy, it's kind of a weird pattern, man. Like,
and that's what I'm saying. Like, I ain't got to put the P word on them, but I just know that I would feel a way if my 14-year-old daughter, 15-year-old daughter, 16-year-old daughter is texting a 31-year-old.
For sure.
And the nigga
I don't feel like I should ever be texting a 16-year-old on one instance, a 15-year-old, and a 14-year-old as a 30-year-old.
Especially about boys.
And also, if I have any friends that are doing that, I probably wouldn't fuck with them. That's all I know.
The interesting thing in a lot of these scenarios, like the parents were right there. Like
R. Kelly
at least
too.
two of them.
Millie Bobby Brown, like he met like he saw her dad first, like, hey, can she come to my concert? And for the D'Amelio girl, like same thing. You know, parents were like, oh, like Drake is talking to us, you know, and that's when we knew our kids were famous. Like, so I don't know. Like, I think like
that sound like they putting. As an adult, if you know your kid talking to Drake and then you just okay with it, that's like Drake got to be stopped too. But so do these parents, because that's terrible. I did not know that parents were involved. I thought like if parents are involved, it's way bigger than Drake.
But that's same with the R. Kelly situation, and a lot of them R. Kelly victims' parents was involved.
They was bringing them to R. Kelly in some cases.
Yeah, exactly.
But does that not make it institutional? Like if it's like a whole system, but no, if it's a whole system set up and the women and the parents are involved, and like that sounds like a setup.
I guess like my daughter gonna be a hoe anyway. She gonna.
But listen, no matter what 16-year-olds that you bring me, I don't care about the institution. I ain't rolling. You can't get me to text no 16-year-old girl. I'm sorry.
Exactly, but that's what we're not a part of the But I'm saying the institution is like that's.
But if that 16-year-old girl is an artist in which you have equity in their career, you're gonna be communicating, no? Because that's the rumor on this nigga Drake, is that he actually has equity on these artists too, where he's making money off their streams.
That's a sick world, bro. God.
I mean, but think of it this way, Johnny. Like, let's say you got like a 16-year-old son playing basketball, and then some recruiter from LSU or South Carolina is like, "Hey, we want you to play." Like, they're having to have a direct conversation with him.
Right. But him talking to a 16-year-old basketball player or actor has nothing to do with like them playing for the label. And then, truthfully, my 16-year-old son, he's typically like the interactions that he might start having with like recruiters are going to be male recruiters also, but they still have to go through me first still.
Oh, I didn't know how it worked.
Yeah,
like, do they reach out to you? Like, do they
just
email
talk
you?
to nobody kid without
minor, bro.
Talk to nobody kid without permission. You just
and Drake is also, as big as star as he is, he's still like a clout chaser in a lot of ways.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, when he was talking to the girl Millie Bobby, Stranger Things was like the biggest show in the world at the time. She was the biggest chick in the world. So I just feel like he's probably just trying to like get on that wave of like knowing her and saying they know each other. It's not a good look optically, and as funny as the shit is, I don't think he was like really on the I'm gonna fuck with white girl shit. I just think he a wave rider. She was hottest at the time.
I saw a text where he was celebrating her somebody turning 18 or underage or some kind of fight, like he was doing the Birdman hand rub, like this looked like heavy grooming, bro.
Yeah,
I don't know about that.
That
a lot of shit floating around.
Yeah, to me, I guess it's just been a lot of like slippery situations where like one or two I get. When you get to like 7, 8 scenarios with all underage, it'd be like, But again, I ain't put the P word on him because there's nothing. Nobody said that he's actually had intercourse.
And Kendrick slid on those DVDs.
Hey, did y'all see those Metro tweets?
Yeah, Metro grooming.
He was a child.
He was a kid when he made those tweets, though.
He was like 17 max.
Yeah,
and he was talking about like you can't.
Okay, but some of them shit sounded wild.
Hey, fellas, I think we have a guest in the back end. So, again, we'll bring him up. Who do we got? Who do we have? G?
Yeah, we got Mr. T Money, 1993. We about to add T Money to the panel right now.
All right, T Money.
T Money in the building.
Right,
what up,
right,
fellas?
right.
What up, fellas? What up, fellas?
What's going on? What up? So talk to us. Has hip hop stunted black culture? What's your thoughts?
I would say yeah, to a certain degree. Not really like our age, but younger. Like I think it has, because I think somebody said it. T.I. might have said it. A big difference is like our era, T.I., Jeezy, Bootsy, and them, they was rapping about shit that they had already done. When now you have a lot of guys rapping about stuff that they actively doing. And so the kids knowing that they actively in the streets, actively, you know, these rappers now, a lot of them, they'll tell you if they murder somebody on the song.
Yeah,
I murdered John yesterday. So a lot of the kids is looking at that and seeing that that's how they living, so they want to live like that.
Chasing cloud.
Rather than like Pusha rap about drugs all day long, every album, but we know that stuff he was doing 20, 25, you know what I'm saying, years ago. He ain't doing that right now.
I mean, it's interesting that you brought up T.I. because T.I. used to have conversations with Jeezy like, hey, bro, you can't do both. Because Jeezy was still selling drugs while he was like pretty much at like on his come up, like, hey, man, you got to pick one. You can't do both. And I think, you know, the reason why kids are doing that today is because of technology. Like back then, you had to legit go to the studio. Now, like anybody can be a rapper, you know, as long as you got internet connection and a laptop and a microphone, that's pretty much it.
Yeah, that's true. But I like I said, I think that just makes a difference that you're not talking about something from the past. You're talking about something you're doing right now. So like Snoop might have whatever history Snoop has, but we know Snoop is not actively moving like that. So he can tell somebody, hey, don't do what I used to do. Rather than like me and a couple of my friends was having this conversation. With the way these dudes is dying or going to jail, who could even be the face of hip hop in the next 5-10 years? I mean, Young Boy can't never come outside. Every time they about to let him off house arrest, he do something else.
That's what I was
Like,
saying.
like to be
who's the
honest, I think
voice?
the NBA and rap game are having the exact same issue right now. I think it's a changing of guards, but nobody knows who to hand it off to. Like LeBron, Curry, KD, who else? Like that whole era of basketball players are retiring. And you can see the NBA is like fiending for who's going to be the next guy.
It was supposed
Let's
to be
let's go
Ja,
ahead.
but
Let's
Ja
go
messed
ahead
up.
and dump all this money into Wemby. Ja, he was promising, but he got a little too much AI in him, right? Anthony
Ant
to me,
about to be in
Ant
there
right
too.
now seems like he probably primed to be the guy, but you can see that they're looking for the next one. So
I
like,
think
I
a
think
big
that
part
for
of that is probably
us,
gonna be Wemby though, because Wemby, you hear Wemby talking about, oh, I go to bed super early, I don't go out clubbing and partying with my teammates, like
maybe, but he's 7'8", and none of them ever last. But making drawing it back to the to hip hop. I think that like our generation, we have Cole, Kendrick, Drake, and those are like our Curry, KD, Steph, whatever. And like we grew up on those, we gravitated to them. Though that's who a lot of us, you know what I mean, have learned or like I'll just say grew up with. Where now looking at who can be somebody that they pass the torch to, I kind of don't know who they'll pass
that's
the
what I'm
torch
saying.
to. Let's turn this into first listen real quick. I'll start with A Black. Who do you think could be the next one to actually grab the torch when it comes down to rap hip hop?
You know, it's hard for me to say because I don't think I'm really
Versing
tapped in enough to what the youth is feeling. You know, I be trying, but like I hear about new niggas every day, and I'm like, who?
Oh, you on campus too, so like
Yeah,
I'm sure that that's his own thing.
yeah. So like, you know, I'm really not as tapped in enough to like oh, this dude is about to be the next this or that. So I don't know. I mean, basketball, I got a better answer, but yeah, I can't tell you because it's so many new artists and the people that the kids be going crazy over. You know, I never heard of them. I guess it's aging or what. As much as I try to stay tapped in tune to what's new, usually what's popping is not on our radios. It's not on
Oh,
our
not at all.
timelines. Yeah, like they be on some other shit. So I don't know. Whoever it is, they ain't broke the surface yet. But it's gonna be somebody. It's always somebody that rise to the top and gonna make us know who they are. But I just don't know who they are yet. I'm still shit. I'm still listening to Nas.
Right. And yeah, and I guess I'm just interested to see who the next generation's legacy act could be. But you said league. Who you got? Who's next up in the league?
In the league, Anthony Edwards, Shy Gilgis. I like Wimby too, but like you said, his body type it ain't built to run 82 games for years. Like, but you know, maybe he'll be a unicorn. But I don't know. I mean, Shaq big ass lasted long, so maybe it's possible.
That's
But
a fact.
definitely, I like Anthony Edwards. Like, I haven't really been excited. Like, you know, Steph Curry's my favorite player. I feel like a lot of players, they're good, they're not exciting. Like, you know, Jason Tatum, to me is boring as hell. But you know, he's a great player, consistent, but don't got the charisma, don't got the post
Who you
game.
say, Jason Tatum?
Yeah,
Nah,
Anthony
I
Edwards.
agree.
Yeah, Anthony
Hey, hold
Edwards
up,
got
hold
all
up,
of
hold
that.
up on my boy
And
Tatum.
the thing he got the
hold
light
up,
skin thing
hold
going
up.
for him.
He good, bro, but he's boring.
Hold,
He's safe. He's
hold
As
up.
like,
hell.
What I'm saying, I think Tatum got to
Johnny,
get
answer
it.
the question. Answer the question, Johnny. The same
Who's
question.
next?
Go ahead.
Who's
Huh?
next? Give me
Yeah, both
Tatum.
ways.
Give me Tatum because I think Tatum gonna get it done this year, and I think he gotta have his little shine before Anthony Edwards gets his. I think Tatum gonna have something to say about that this year.
Tatum ain't
Far as
nobody.
Not being funny, Tatum gonna have to pop out with LMA more if he wanted.
he could do that. He might could do that. Like
Even
he
she
might could. He might could do that. When it come to
And then
music,
rap. Yeah.
and when it come to rap, I think it might be done just based on like the how fast music
I
comes
think
out,
it's only gonna be like small little runs.
how disposable. Yeah, I don't think we're gonna get the long-term classic artists like we used to in the past. The music is too disposable. So I don't
Because you would have
see.
thought Baby
I
would have
don't.
been on that run, but Baby run didn't last that long.
I mean, but think about all the artists you like. Me and Quint used to sit up here and talk about JID and like
Oh,
it's a bunch.
he still got potential. I ain't gonna write my boy out.
Man, he ain't going to do nothing. He ain't doing it like that.
Yeah,
He ain't gonna do it like that. He can
not
rap
gonna
his
be
ass
cold
off.
big.
I think
And I like
earlier we
like
diagnosed the fact that you got to be mulatto to be cold big.
But it's a so my niece, one of my nieces is in elementary school, and when I was with her, she was like, this was months ago, and now I've started to see him mad places. The dude's name is I Show Speed. Y'all ever heard of this nigga? I Show Speed.
Oh no, he's mulatto.
He don't make music though. He's
He do. He got music. He got music too. And so
but he's not known. That's not what he's known.
That's
for,
like Kai Sanat making music.
But that's what the point I'm about to get at here is that I think the next voice for this next generation is gonna be a streamer / artist type nigga. Like, because that's what the young folks is really on, is the streamers more than anything else. So I'm thinking if it's not him already, it's going to be somebody who has that sort of thing going where
DDG was probably the closest.
Who?
DDG.
I don't know who that is.
One of them twins.
He date Haley. He date Holly, whatever his name.
Alex, what's your thoughts?
As far as hip hop, I'm surprised y'all didn't say his name, Lil Yachty. Duh. See, and that's how I know all y'all don't listen to music. Lil Yachty is literally reinvented himself multiple times. Lil Yachty is literally a creator.
Hey, bro, Alex, Yachty started rapping 6 months ago. Quit playing. He just started.
What are you talking about? Do you know what freshman class he was on? He was on the 2016 freshman class.
You talking about
2026, Yachty would have been rapping for 10 years.
His song, the song he had out back then,
if you
Cold
look at
as
it, Yachty
Minnesota.
is probably too close to Drake in the age.
Yachty is not that high.
Cold as Minnesota.
Not at all. I'm
gonna
be honest.
Are y'all serious?
Yeah, I literally didn't say shit when y'all was talking.
Bro, you gotta make a case for Lil Yachty, bro. This shit is good, dog.
But that's because y'all don't know what y'all talking about.
Hey, let him get it off. Go ahead, get it off.
Yachty has been writing all the Drake shit. He been writing all the Drake shit is what they say.
That is exactly what I'm saying. Little Yachty is influential as far as the new age. I can't really think of anybody else. Like maybe Travis Scott. But like as far as like dang, like Lil Yachty literally just released an indie album that received critical acclaim. Like that type of shit, you don't go away after doing stuff like that. Like I think Lil Yachty is going to be here for another decade making music because that's what he's already done. Like he reinvented himself multiple times, fell off, came back, fell off, came back, and every time this dude does something, it leaves something. Like this dude literally made a song about Poland, and that shit went off the charts. So, outside of Lil Yachty, I would have to say if I'm just looking at what my little cousins fuck with all the time, NLE Choppa, like. I don't understand it, but like NLE Choppa, like anything this dude does, it's like this doesn't work. But for whatever fucking reason, it always goes. So
you put him over YoungBoy
antics though, or
have you seen his last song? Have you seen the last NLE Choppa song?
I haven't, but Alex, you put him over.
Stop it.
Like whenever I go to like the spaces I'm at with kids, which is usually gyms, and like with all the kids. At every gym that I go to, and I pretty much go to all the gyms in Charlotte, where they only warm up to YoungBoy. They know every single lyric. The crowd knows every single lyric. And it be even like his singing songs, like Nevada. You play that, it goes crazy in the gym.
I ain't gonna lie.
I get that, but like I think when it comes to YoungBoy, like YoungBoy is kind of like what 8-Ball MGG was. Like you said that shit because it was like, oh yeah, I know this. Like I know all the words.
You said like 8-Ball MJG.
Nah.
Yeah, like it's like the shit that you know, but like outside of that, like nah, like I don't think NBA YoungBoy got the same mass appeal that NLE Choppa does.
What? NBA YoungBoy is supposed to be that nigga for the generation.
Yeah.
But I'm talking about who's
see
going to
it.
be next up. I don't think NBA YoungBoy got that in him, like with all the shit. Because like if we're going
But
off
he
of
keeps
that,
doing it over and over and over and over and over and
I ain't gonna lie, young boy
Like,
is they.
I don't even like
like
him, but I just see it. Like if
YoungBoy
you make
is
if
they
you have a
Gucci
high
and
school
all.
kid that's gonna make a mixtape, it's what's his name? Young Boy is nothing but like the lyrics, not the lyrics, the song that they're gonna go to.
They not
Like,
using NLE.
So that means auto-tune must be here to stay because that's all he relies on.
maybe, probably. But
I would
T
say
Money,
like
I'm
I
gonna let
don't
you
know if y'all
close out
consider
real
like
quick. But we also have another guest waiting to come up.
He didn't left.
I got you. Oh shit.
So T Money, give me about like one more minute of whatever your thoughts is. I know you tapped in. Again, the main umbrella of the conversation is hip hop, stunted black culture. You can leave comments on that. Want to talk about the Drake Kendrick beef? I don't know. Just give us
there
a
you
minute.
go. He back.
For one, I would say, yeah, YoungBoy is way more influential. YoungBoy to them is almost like they Bootsy or Jeezy or T.I., whoever you choose you riding with. They be ready to die over talking about NBA YoungBoy too much. They be fucking the NBA YoungBoy like that's they kind of use him all rails around.
Diddy.
Far as the Drake and Kendrick shit, I mean, yeah, you pointed out Drake has been in a lot of situations that most niggas is not trying to be into. But far as the other side, let's not act like there hasn't been real life situations with Kendrick and Whitney where the police got called.
See, I don't know, and that's I'm interested to hear that.
That's what I'm saying. That boy
Well,
escaped
I'm
the
personally
violence.
not interested, but that could that's interesting to know.
There definitely was a time in Vegas, I know is one of them, where they was in the hotel room and
that wasn't
the
Whitney.
police.
That wasn't Whitney. That was some random ass fan, and I got thrown out because they couldn't substantiate.
Oh, okay. And then other than that, before I get off, shout out to Mom Dukes. It's her birthday today, so
hey, shout out.
She might be watching. So
yeah, shout out
Happy
to
birthday, Mom Dukes.
Yeah. All right. Hey, again, peace, much appreciation, brother.
Oh, and by the way, Q, real quick, you got only a couple more years before Coach is not gonna want to be talking to you.
You said me?
Yeah.
You said coaches?
Yeah. When you were saying, the coaches got to go through you right now. Because I've been on the other side, college coach.
Oh yeah, no, for sure.
So when they get junior, senior, I don't really want to talk to the parent like that, unless at the end.
I can imagine.
At the end, maybe, but through the process, I don't really want to talk to the parent like that.
That's interesting. We'll chop it up a little bit more about it. I know that you've been on staff for a couple college basketball organizations, basketball teams. So yeah, appreciate it. We're about to bring the next guest up. All right, brother.
All right.
If y'all bring it up, I got a couple artist suggestions. That might be new.
Talk to us.
I'll say
there you go.
Pooh Shiesty.
All right.
Boss Man
Pooh Shiesty in jail, bro.
Or Boss Man Blow.
Boss Man D-Lo.
He just getting started off of being viral, though. I mean, it's easy come, easy go.
Oh no, but listen, I
know. Sentence.
Yeah, I'm about to say them little kids that
50 Flow eating hibachi.
Yeah.
My wife made an observation that he pretty much like has the same flow and everything. Yeah. He does a little this and he does a little that. Do a little bit this. All
right, we got a guest in. So our initial question was: has hip hop stunted black culture? You might want to join in on this part. Is there some FBA accountability? Introduce yourself. Let us know how you feel. We'll give you about 2 to 3 minutes uninterrupted. And then you can kind of throw to a question you have for us. We'll kind of converse back.
This nobody that said like we came up in Fatherless Homes, right? Or was that somebody else?
Yeah, it was me. But it was a typo. I just said young. My name I'm Chuku. Chuku is my name.
Okay, Chuku.
I got a FBA mother and a Nigerian father, so I'm mixed. But yeah, I think hip hop it's not just a form of entertainment; it's a culture, and it shapes not only how people dress, how people talk, but how people see the world and themselves and their place within the world. So I think it can have a negative effect depending on what the culture is saying, what the music is saying. And, there are people who can consume hip hop and it's just entertainment. Like there's more white people in America who buy hip hop albums than black people. But when a white person listens to it, it's just like entertainment that they can put it down and not think about it anymore. But
yeah, they go into the safari.
Right. It's like they're playing. It's like they get to experience black culture through the music. But there are young people who listen to it and orient themselves to this music and copy it and imitate it. So it can have a negative effect depending on, if you're susceptible to wanting to be like the people you're listening to. But so yeah, I think it can have a negative effect for sure.
Gotcha. Do you think that it has been a overall net positive or net negative?
I think in the early days of hip hop, it was a positive thing, but I think it's become a commodity that is, produced primarily for profit and not, to send a positive message. You see what I'm saying? So, and hip hop is also broadcast around the world. You got people in the UK, in Nigeria, all over the world consuming hip hop, and this is the primary image that they have of Black American culture is through hip hop music.
Yeah.
So,
and I guess I was going to build to ask you this question. So as probably Black people's biggest export to the world, how do you think that it has impacted, or do you think it has impacted how the world views Black people?
Yeah, a lot of people, shape their image of people by what they see in the media. So, even Africans, a lot of people, their view of Africans is based on hungry Ethiopian children with flies landing on their face. They think that's what Africa is. You know what I'm saying? So there's people who don't know, who don't see behind, the surface level, could be left with a negative opinion based on images that are being broadcast through music videos. So that's real.
Okay.
Can I ask a follow-up question to that real quick? So if we're broadcasting, when they broadcast Black American hip hop, you see the world kind of emulate Black Americans versus, like, I don't really see that for, other parts of the diaspora necessarily when you're talking about messages. So if you talk about net negative and net positive, they're emulating us, and that must be, they must love us if they want to dress like us and adopt our styles, right?
Well, yeah, it definitely, a lot of people, especially young people, copy hip hop music, hip hop fashion, hip hop as a culture. They embrace it. It's like being exported now. There's people in the UK, if you look at them, you would think they just came out of New York City or something like that. So yeah, it does impact people. It's like, it's a shared culture. It's world music. Hip hop is not just, you can't gatekeep it and say this is just ours. It's everybody's music. It's for everyone. You see what I'm saying?
Gotcha.
So if they adopt it, that means that they can claim like ownership of it too.
Well, they can make their own regional version of it. Like there's people spitting hip hop in Korea, in Korean. You see what I'm saying? Like they have embraced it and are, shaping it to suit their particular tastes in Korea. And it's like happening like that all over the world too. So it's like jazz, it's like another world music, but I think there's more people listening to hip hop than any other type of music, to be honest.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah. So say your name one more time.
Chuku.
We appreciate you. Again, if you have a question to leave off with before you get off, we'll love to hear it.
Yeah. Do you think Kendrick is going to drop another diss? And do you think that Drake, is his career finished? Is his next album going to flop? Well, what do you think is going to happen with his career?
We'll start with A Black. We'll go around the panel.
Yeah, he's not finished, man. It was a beef. It's what I will say is it's come out with like a lot of he got a lot of tropes attached to him now that he didn't before. You know, he got the little girl thing, he got the faking black culture thing. And I was talking to somebody that was comparing the Nas and Jay-Z beef, and you know, they both pretty much came out of that unscathed. I think character wise, like you don't. I mean, they wasn't in meme culture, but Drake gonna always kind of be a meme. He's gonna always kind of be attributed to young girls. And I think a lot of that was Kendrick's plan was like there was never gonna be no cancellation of Drake, but I can change the narrative of your image forever. Right. And I think that's happening. He'll be successful. Drake probably he got a summer smash is coming. And it's like on anything. You make a good product, you win, people will love you again. But for a large part of us, he's always going to kind of be remembered a certain way now because of that beef. But I don't think he's like finished or nothing for sure. It's just like he's less respected in some circles. He's more of a joke now. But I don't think it's nothing he can't really beat. He's still gonna sell records. He's still gonna make hits, but he just got exposed, and it's not that big of a deal because a lot of the shit we already knew. It was like it's just kind of been broadcasted, and everybody's kind of unifyingly agreeing for once now against him. But none of the shit that was really said about him is new. Most of these things Pusha T talked about already, even the psychology behind his parents and behind, his appropriation of different cultures and stuff. But yeah, he got that. He got a little twinge of what they doing to Diddy, what they doing to a lot of people. Now he's gonna always be associated with that.
But has his credibility been damaged? You think he can go around and diss anybody else again, or he's just got to be quiet?
Now I don't know about that. I mean, he can't. This Kendrick, I mean, he's still going to throw some more shots and some subs for sure. I think, but it's not the first battle he lost. He lost to Pusha T. So it's like people kind of forgot about it. You make a couple hits in between time, and then the next beef comes up. See if he takes it or not. He'll think twice. I think for sure, depending on who it is.
But do you think that it'll be a little bit harder for him to generate like that beef? I guess to me, this is when I've heard people like break down the beef, and I've thought that this is interesting. They said the way that you would have to beat Drake is you would have to get the women against them. And I think that the angle that has been taken, like Pusha T won because he kind of did that angle where he was able to get them against him with like Hot and Child. And this again with the whole, the whole file thing. It's like an interesting stain in which like he's dropping some Nikes and all you see under the comments under Nocta and the whole release is like these are the XYZ 3000s or like the PDF file 3000s, the groomer 200s or whatever. And you see that, and you see that. I'm guessing this is true. I've seen multiple people report on it where like now Universal Music is meeting with Nike and meeting with XYZ to try and pressure an apology because they're now losing money and like this whole entire thing.
Well, they did debunk that on TMZ.
Like, so it is debunked.
Yeah, that was
okay. All right,
some more fan fiction that got started that people started running with, but not.
Okay.
The labels are really not losing, not for real. Like he's still gonna be able to generate for.
Yeah, the labels are winning all time right now. Like
I imagine.
Low key. That's why low key I'm thinking that the powers that be, I still feel like there's a more sinister link behind all of this going on to just run everything up. I mean, because
Kendrick got an album to release.
Exactly. Like it's definitely a masterful rollout by Kendrick for sure. Mm-hmm. But I think Universal is playing into it as well. Like that's where I think Drake got to have at least one more Oppenheimer somewhere in the tuck.
Oh, you said he needed another bomb?
He got to have one somewhere in the tuck. I
don't want him to.
But that's the thing.
I
Like,
want him to leave Kendrick alone, to be honest. Like, I don't want to know
I agree.
what he can do best. Do next. I just don't want. I don't want to know what he can do next.
All Kendrick all Drake got to do is make the people miss him. Like he's been like on a run to where he don't take no breaks. You know, one of the allures of Kendrick is he comes and he pops out, he disappears. Drake is on Her Loss. He Scary Hours. This nigga is nonstop. He disappears for the summer and comes back. The world will go crazy. Like, oh, Drake is back. Like people are real fickle, man. It's like all you gotta do is know when to take a little time. They'll simmer down and then come back with it.
Not when it comes to the same tinge of stuff that's on Drake right now. Like what's happening to Drake is kind of similar to what happened to Shane Dawson. Like Shane Dawson was a really big YouTuber, and then all these videos came out that he's trying to have sex with his cat and a whole bunch of weird stuff.
Shane Dawson is, but he's not Drake. Like Drake.
No, but like no, like, in the terms of like YouTube, yes, he was, and no matter how fervent his fans were, every time something would come up, they would knock it away. But then one YouTuber made a video, and that the whole house of cards came falling down. And pretty much every time he tries to come back, it's like, get out of here. We don't want to see that. So I think we need to take into account, like, Drake is a big star, but we ain't never seen Drake fighting these allegations that he's fighting. Like,
but nobody. Drake has a fandom. Like, it's only a few artists, you know, Drake, Kanye, Nicki, Beyonce, they have a certain fandom that you can't do no wrong. Like this.
I agree. Them niggas was on the internet on Facebook saying statutory rape laws say 16. I say, holy. Yeah. I ain't never heard niggas say that before.
The daughter can be found tomorrow.
I haven't seen too much of that. It seems like the general consensus was like, if you want to keep it in the hip hop,
no, I think he'll go the way. But I seen it with my own eyes. It was like 4 niggas on the same post, and I was
because like this is like very recent. So, like people become like radioactive to be around. Yeah. Like I don't think nobody about to make no music with Mystical. Like,
or better yet, Tekashi 6ix9ine, Gunna, and Meek Mill. Like, have they?
Well, Gunna's back. Gunna is back.
The other ones, I don't know.
Gunna's back for sure.
And what happened with Gunna? Come back from the people said, "Shit, I was snitched too." You know, like if Drake dropped his daughter, and like y'all actually do got a daughter. Well, no, his fans gonna say,
but like Gunna is different because like the majority of people listen to Gunna are civilians. Like, I don't care if you snitch. Like,
and the majority of Drake fans are white, are women. So credibility was really
but hey, Black, do you think that same thing?
I can forgive somebody after snitching when they make a fuck you meme, but I don't think that's gonna happen with Drake.
Hey, Black. So, do you think that? You said daughter, so I agree with that. Like if you hiding the child, everybody can forgive that.
Yeah.
If
it's not like our business.
More of the grooming allegations get substantiated, you don't think that that's a thing that impacts his woman base?
For sure. But like I said, the ones that love him already, they already love him. It's going to take like actual charges, actual proof.
And then some of them ain't going to care because R. Kelly had a girl licking his belt at the concert.
Like y'all looking at it wrong. Like y'all thinking about it this way. Like imagine what Chris Brown would have been if that whole incident with Rihanna never happened.
Bro,
like that's how you need to look. That's how you need to look at like what happened with Drake. He's radioactive. Like it's kind of like Louis C.K. with the whole beating his meat in front of women thing. Like, is his career over? No. He can't come back and be like,
might be worse than this.
He can't get top billing for anything now.
And then Chris Brown had his own talent. Drake got big off of clout chasing, and now that he's can't piggyback off of anyone anymore, we're not going to see any more Dirty Sprites. We're not going to see any more collaborations with him in general because nobody wants to touch him. So that's one lane he's already gone now. And he might
look at Daniel Caesar. Daniel Caesar is a good example. Daniel Caesar didn't even do half of what Drake did. Daniel Caesar was defending a white girl like, hey man, cancel me. I won't be on the winning team. And then black woman and unanimous got in unison like, all right, you canceled.
Poof. Bro, but when they canceled him, what was they saying? They were saying shit they already felt. They was like, oh, this nigga ugly. Why he talking like this? He just like I'm telling you, he's not Drake. Like Drake,
Yeah, Drake has equity. Drake has equity. I mean, if we gonna keep it a stack, because like, what year we talking about when the best I ever had, the best I ever had? That's like 2008, 2009. That's like, what is this, like 2009-ish?
That's like 2006, 7. I was at Howard.
Nah, it wasn't 6, 7, was it? It wasn't that old.
The mixtape dropped before the album. Like, we had that shit on the college campus. That shit was circulating.
I do remember having it in undergrad and telling. But yeah, you might be right. Yeah,
2009.
I do think it was later in my undergrad though, because 05 was Jeezy. 05 was Jeezy,
and we were snapping.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But either way,
that was my freshman year. That's why I remember that shit.
Drake had a whole decade plus where it was just undeniable. He was the boy, if you will. Like, you can't take that away from like that equity is there. You can't take it away.
Bro, we're gonna be doing OV Ho all summer. We're gonna be saying OV Ho all summer, bro.
Possibly. Real
y'all
quick,
saying Drake as if like Bill Cosby and all he had in equity.
Less than 5 minutes.
Nigga, he had 69 God.
Yeah.
He had 69 guys.
You don't think they got him up out of here and like he's shook and now he fired shots at a lot of people? You don't think they're gonna start firing at him back?
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Drake is
I think that
now.
like literal shots, he did get literal shots at his house. But somebody pointed out something that is interesting, and I don't know if it means anything, but it could mean everything. Matter of fact, this was DJ Academics. He was on the Flagrant 2 podcast, and I was watching it earlier today. And they pointed out something interesting. And if you know, DJ Academics is like the biggest stand for Drake. But he pointed this out, and he didn't have an answer for it. He was like, the fact that Drake collaborates with so many people and so many artists. He's been like the first number one for so many artists. He's like knocked down the door for so many artists. And from Sexy Red to whoever else, nobody's defending him right now. Nobody's vouching for him. Nobody's like, you know what I mean, like taking up for him. And I thought that was actually interesting, the fact that isn't happening.
Yeah, I agree.
Man's got more defense than Drake.
Yeah, I said that. I was saying that on Facebook. It's like, especially like when Kendrick did the whole rundown of Atlanta history, named all them artists. That would have been a perfect time for one of them to like tweet some
just pop out.
Lil Yachty defended him.
Lil Yachty writes his music, gets checks from him, and like it's the biggest name that he's associated with. So
that's probably the only person who publicly said like anything.
Nobody that said anything. It's been quiet.
Lil Yachty,
he said something.
He had a lot of big artists that he was associated with. Yeah. All these hits that people say he saved their career and boosted them. Nobody said nothing. Lil Babies, Drake, Eagles. I mean, not Drake, but you know.
It's starting to seem like niggas ain't fucking with him. Like, hey, so fellas, hey, Chiku, I believe I said that correct, right?
Yeah, Chiku. Yeah.
We appreciate you being on. We're about to wrap up the show. Again, thanks. We appreciate the conversation.
All right, awesome, great stream.
Right, appreciate you.
All right, peace out.
Appreciate it.
So we got about 2 minutes. We're gonna go really quickly around. Let everybody know where they can find you. Quick final thought. G.
Man, appreciate everybody joining. Follow G Shit Podcast on all platforms. Enjoy wherever you get your podcasts at GSHPOD, where we focus on family, friends, finances, freedom, and our future, and fuck everything else. Ha.
Johnny. Hi, it's your boy Johnny P. You can find me at Johnny P. Newton. You can also find me at the 2B Fair Show every Sunday, 4 p.m. A little less, topical as this, but we like to have fun over there. I appreciate all the fellas for coming back. Another great comment.
Johnny P's internet connection sound like it started messing up. Alex.
What's up, everybody? Thanks for tuning in, and thanks for the callers for calling in. Yeah, great show. Looking forward to the next one.
Yep. Trey, FBA
Freak
Trey.
yeah. All right, freak yeah, nigga, you a 69 guy. We about to go on the St. Oli Ho all summer. I can't wait. I just gotta say, power to the people. Shout out to the
Yeah.
Moore family.
Yes, sir. A Black.
Yo, man, great show. Thanks for having me again.
Mhm.
You can follow me at Mayor of Charlotte if y'all are listening. And yeah, see you next time.
Yes, sir. Again, it's Q. Again, To Be Fair show on Sundays 4:30. Tune in. Outside of that, we'll be back here next Wednesday 9:30 with another amazing topic. And that's it. Appreciate audience, appreciate super chats, appreciate G and all the panelists. Peace.